I can literally just effortlessly submit these guys, because if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you're not going to guess your way through it. It's a system. It's a proven system. Then my true journey of entrepreneurship started, because it turned into a multi-million-dollar company. Even me with being a Navy SEAL and business and fighter or whatever. Why buy a protein when I can just make it? And I'm going to make it better than anything else out there. I think that our society, food is a drug, and nobody looks at it like a drug, because they're like, oh, you need food to survive. But you don't need food to survive. You need nutrients to survive. Sure enough, it just started going crazy, and we did almost 115,000 in sales in a week. And I was just like, oh my God, I just hit the lottery. This is insane.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, it's both an honor and a pleasure to welcome back my next guest to the podcast. He's a former U.S. Navy SEAL. He's a pro MMA fighter and a BJJ black belt. He's a mindset coach / mentor. And he's the owner of Massive Supplements, which we'll talk about. He was on episode 8, so he is an OG Mic Drop member. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Mitch Aguiar.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. So, quite a bit's happened since you've been on. It's been fucking 6 years almost, or right at about. So
it's wild to think.
I know it, man. I can't believe I've been doing it this fucking long. Honestly, it's it's hard to even wrap my mind around. Since you've already been on, and we've covered a lot of the things that I would normally cover in kind of from a chronological interview standpoint. Some things I've kind of mixed up or changed that I want to still adhere to, but then we'll get into what you've been up to in those last 6 years. But what's the last book that you read?
The last book I read, I think it was Think Like a Monk.
Oh, really?
Like Jay Shetty.
Yeah. What is there a biggest takeaway that you got from it?
No, I don't like books.
No, I fell asleep and zoned out for most of it.
Yeah.
I was high at the time. What's something that you wish you were better at?
Reading books. Yeah, no, honestly, I wish I was into books more. Honestly, I really do. I just have a hard time sitting still and getting into books, and they literally do put me to sleep. Yeah. When I did that 75 hard challenge a while ago, Andy Frisella's challenge, and I was reading the 10 pages a day or whatever, and I did enjoy it, but I'm just very much a on the go person. I'm big ADD, and always in different directions, working on different things, thinking about different things. And, I'm more into podcasts, than books. I love learning from, people that have read a lot of books, and, listening to them, but yeah, I've never been a big reader.
Yeah. Have you tried audiobooks?
No, I've definitely listened to a lot of audiobooks, but physically reading pages,
it's tough to stay into it. If time travel were possible, where and when would you go and why?
Where and when would I go and why? I think if time travel were possible, I would just one place or one time.
Yeah, if you want to throw a few in, by all means.
I would probably go to Jerusalem back when when Jesus was maybe crucified, and I'd hang out, and I'd hang out by the tomb.
Yeah. To see if it happened
and see what went down. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Is there another thing that kind of came to mind also to make you say just one?
Oh, just because I'm interested in seeing everything. Yeah. How cool would it be, to actually get to, from a fly on the walls perspective almost, and just look at actual history.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that over the years I've come to learn is that history is written by the victors, and we are told certain narratives and things, and I don't really know what is true and what is accurate history, and I would love to really get to see everything as it was. I remember, I went to, and this is kind of off topic, but not really. I went to New Zealand, and I zip-lined over this. It was like a huge, one of the largest zip lines in the world, and it went over this untouched, like chunk of forestry, like where it's never been developed ever, and it looked very prehistoric.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool, and that kind of stuff just fascinates me. I would love to see like what America looked like before. All the buildings and everything, and just see what the earth would look like before humans, destroyed it.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I mean, there's a million fucking places I would like to see. I don't know that I'd want to go in the future. I mean, maybe once, like 100 years.
Nah, we're going to be there.
Yeah.
And it's
probably going to be disappointing.
I mean, imagine being, in the 1300s or 1400s and coming to today.
Yeah. Be confusing.
It'd be very shocking. And
yeah. I'll tell you one thing, and I've mentioned this before, it's been a while though, is that like I'd love to go back to like the gates of Thermopylae, the 300 time frame. Not just to see it, but like to me it would be really cool to like fucking grapple with one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like and see how they really were.
For sure.
Like would you be completely outclassed, or are they overhyped, or what? Like
I think they're way hard to say. Like you think about the like a professional fighter today, we're probably in some ways better, in some ways worse. The one, they walked everywhere. They were just extremely hard lives. They lived very hard lives. They're hard people. Yeah. And I think the testosterone back then, there was nothing in. Like we're getting processed foods. Everything in our world is chemically altered, and our cell phone radiation is ruining our hormones. Everything disrupts our hormones. Everything that we consume disrupts our hormones, and we're just so far removed from, I think, how we were meant to be and live. But on the other hand, we do have things that enhance us in ways and stuff. So it's like you look at athletic performance over the years, it's obviously on a different level right now. But when it comes to combatives and war fighting and that kind of thing, I truly believe that is hugely impacted on your mentality. And those guys, I think, were just on a different level mentally, and physically. I think they were very hard people, but I don't, it would be very interesting. I think if we had to live in their, environment, I think a lot of people would crumble. You know,
it'd be a wake up.
But
call.
Like just straight up hand to hand fighting, who knows? I don't know. It'd be different. It'd be. I
mean,
cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's one of the most interesting thoughts about going to that time is that prospect. But if you think about it from
I've actually been to Thermopylae.
No shit.
Yeah, twice.
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like the guys that were the professional soldiers back then, unlike today, that's how they fought each other. I mean, yes, they had weapons, but it was basically physical one-on-one combat.
Face to face.
Yeah, so like if you're doing that life or death your entire life, and you're 30-some-year-old dude like in your fucking prime and have fought like that your whole life, like I think it would be hard to compete with a dude, that's been through that,
Yeah.
Like, now granted, I doubt that they had the same level of skill set.
I'm going to go ahead and say I think that they would beat our ass if it was just like, unless it's hard to say because they didn't have jiu-jitsu back then.
Or just from a technique standpoint, like we don't know, but I would assume that it was pretty elementary by comparison, So it's like, it's a weird mix to see.
I think if you put like a sword and shield, they have the advantage. If it was just maybe hand to hand, especially with jiu-jitsu.
If you took like one of the best in the world
then
MMA fighters versus now. Yeah, I mean, a top shelf guy now versus, one of their best in their heyday, and it's unarmed, complete. Like I'd love to see what the fuck would happen. Guys, real quick, I've recently launched Patreon for the all-inclusive mic drop experience. This goes above and beyond just ad-free. Yes, you are getting ad-free episodes, but you're getting before and after bonus footage of myself and the guest in studio, in many instances outside of the studio, doing jiu-jitsu, dog stuff, car, motorcycle, recovery, fitness, lifestyle, all kinds of different things. All the different things that I have going on are included in that Patreon page. We're releasing content multiple times a day, every single day. And I want to offer that to you guys. Just go to my Patreon page. The link is in every description or any platform that I'm on, and come enjoy that experience with me. That content is for you guys. It's what you want to see. It's about you. It's about what world you want to peek into in terms of all the different things that I have my hands in, and we're bringing that to you guys just for you. And I want to take one quick second to just say thank you to everybody who already has signed up. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do for you. So thank you to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in there. What are the two key components for canine success? That's effective training and proper nutrition. Fueled by Team Dog brings those two components to your family and best friend. The perfect nutritional balance that results in a higher mental acuity, energy, overall vitality, and even an improved appearance. Every product you will find in my company's store was born from the battlefield and not from the boardroom. Let my life's work help you become your dog's hero.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I remember I excuse me. Yeah, I've been to Thermopylae, and I remember, like, I have brought a couple rocks home from the battlefield at Thermopylae, because I'm like, awesome. I look at these stones and I'm like, this fucking stone was probably here, when the Spartans were fighting, and I've been in the hot gates and like actually jumped in there. It's like a natural hot spring and stuff. Yeah, that's when I retraced the steps from Sparta, Greece, to the battlefield of Thermopylae on foot, 8 days.
That was a charity thing, right?
Yeah. 240 miles in 8 days.
How was that?
It was the hardest thing I've ever done.
No shit.
Yeah.
I mean, even compared, because I know you did the rim to rim in a fucking day, right? That was pretty tough, but nothing compared. It was 1 day.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was a very hard day, the rim to rim to rim challenge. And I did both of those challenges with no preparation or anything.
Classic team guy.
I literally just, my same, and I actually did it with the same guy, my buddy Grant. He's a beast, and he hit me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I was like, and challenged me, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it with you. That was 53 miles in 1 day. And 20,000 feet of elevation change.
Jeez.
But that was cool, and that was the first time I've ever been to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So and like we started running at 4 a.m, pitch black.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm at the Grand Canyon, but I can't see anything, know. And then when the sun came up, we were going down the trail, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, that was very interesting to see the dimensions, and you really got an idea of how like big Earth is, or you know what I mean? Yeah. Hard to put into words when you haven't seen it.
It's so rim to rim to rim is 52 miles.
It was 53 miles.
53 miles, man. I didn't realize it was that far. I knew the elevation change was pretty significant. But
well, it's like a lot of like the switchbacks and stuff like that,
All right, so the 8 day thing, that was physically the hardest thing, huh?
That was physically and mentally like the hardest thing that I'd have ever done, and I think it was because of the lack of preparation. But it was also like it was one of the most humbling things I've ever done. I'm so happy and thankful that I experienced that, and because it truly did like humble me as a human being. Like being kind to people and stuff like that, and just
how did it accomplish that?
So when I had heard about this event, I was at a Navy SEAL Foundation event or something. It was like a gala, and I had heard, someone talking about this event coming up to raise money for charity, and it was retracing the steps of the Spartans, and on foot, 8 days, going from Sparta to the battlefield of Thermopylae, and going on that same path they did. And I was like, that's incredible. That sounds so cool. And like, the Spartans were like, like I have a tattoo here on my leg. Like, like they're very influential, I are very inspirational. I viewed them as like the world's greatest warriors, so I was like, man, I want to do that. And it was in like 2 weeks. Yeah. and I was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to do this. And I didn't think it was going to be that hard physically to do, because I'm like, oh, it's walking. I mean, I walk every day. Yeah. But
so what's that average out to?
Like 30 miles a day.
For 8 days in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I certainly don't walk that much. And I don't think people understand, like, now I try to get like 10,000 steps a day, which is close to 5 miles, but that's 6 times that.
Yeah. Every day.
Every day for 8 days. Yeah. And if you're not prepared for that, it's going to destroy you. So, but I didn't think anything of that. I was also young and dumb, and I'm a team guy. I'm an MMA champion. I'm a badass, and that was my mentality. I'll go do this thing, like whatever. And I didn't even consider it like that it was going to be hard. I was actually like, this isn't hard enough. So I'm going to fast. I'm gonna try to do my fast on my Smashin Greens
during
the whole thing. Dude. So I had actually, so when I fast forward, I get to Greece, and I was there, and there was like, I got there was 20 of us total, and Jeff Gum did it with me, actually.
Oh, okay.
And Kyle Maynard, he was on his little bike. But Jeff Gum, that was like our first kind of a big adventure together. Yeah. And so we got there, and James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy, you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a stud. And he was there. He was one of the guys there. And there was a handful of dudes there that seemed kind of like fit athletes or whatever, but there was only 3 SEALs, and one was an older SEAL, and me and Jeff Gum, and I kind of felt like these other people that were there weren't like worthy of like retracing the steps of the Earth's greatest warriors, and in my head, I was like thinking this, and I was like, I didn't know any of these people, and they had no, I had no reason to be disrespectful to them or mean to them or anything like that, and I wasn't. But in my head, I was like, these people don't belong here. They have no business retracing the steps of the Spartans, like, that went to the fight in Thermopylae and this hugely famous battle, and they knowingly went to their death to, fight for their country. And I just felt like, as a SEAL who has like gone overseas and fought and stuff, it was like, this is kind of our realm, we deserve to do this kind of thing. And again, I didn't voice any of that, but I felt, that's how I felt. And I was like kind of judgmental towards them, and thinking, like, looking at them like you're also like none of you like look like a warrior, you know what I mean? But then when we started, I mean, it was also in the summertime, like 90 plus degrees, and Greece is very mountainous, and we were on concrete, roads, retracing the steps, and I didn't know shit about hiking, anything. I wasn't into that stuff. Like, I had just done what we've done in the SEAL teams, but unless you're like an active hiker, you know that world and go on hikes a lot, and you understand that like your feet swell and that kind of stuff, and that concrete is actually harder than regular ground. But me being the dumbass, unexperienced person, I'm like, oh, sweet, it's on concrete, you know, like, and everyone else there with experience is like, oh man, that's gonna suck. And you know, I showed up in my regular tennis shoes, no compression socks, no nothing, you know, because I don't even think it's going to be a big deal.
With a Ziploc bag full of green powder as your sustenance.
I literally was just like, yeah, I'm just going to fast because this isn't going to be hard enough. Like, and it's not worthy of like, you have to suffer if you're going to, you know, pay homage to these elite warriors. And boy, did I suffer. But yeah, so I fasted for 3 days before we even started. And everyone there is looking at me like, you're crazy, man. Like, and I'm like, I'll be all right. And we get going, and 18 miles in, I was like,
what the fuck was that?
I was like, there is no fucking way that I am going to be able to finish this. Like, I immediately, like, I messed up, you know, I'm completely wrong. And I'm just going to be humbled right here. And that was just lesson one, you know? So then, in 18 miles in, like my feet were just totally blistered. Both feet were totally blistered. And then by the end of the first day, I think the first day we did like 34 miles. And Jeff Gum and I were both by far the weakest links. Like, we were just not prepared at all. And and I think he'll say he's told this story too, where he like went to take a piss and like on the side of the road, and he fell over, and then he had like a cramp and he couldn't get up, and he was like stuck. And I mean, it was like brutal. It was like, you know, just totally, we were not prepared at all for how bad that was going to suck. And, you know, and then obviously day 2, you feel like you just got hit by a truck after walking 34 miles and in the heat all day, you know, 12 hours. And by day 2, you know, my ankles, my everything's starting to swell. Day 3, another 30 miles in the books, and I'm like hobbling. My knees are just destroyed. My ankles are taped up. And, you know, everyone there who was there and prepared and all this stuff, they've got compression socks on. They're used to this. Some of these people were doing a marathon a week for a year straight in preparation for this event. And, you know, and then like you got Iron Cowboy, who's done 50 Ironmans in 50 states, 50 days consecutively in a row. And he recently did 101 Ironmans in the same, you know, same place, but consecutively. Crazy. And, you know, and these guys were also like, this is no joke, you know? And so I was just in a world of hurt. And, but they were all so helpful and kind to me, you know, and they helped me, like gave me compression socks. They had extra, blister kits and all these things. And, so yeah, like by the end of day 3, you know, I couldn't even wear my shoes because my feet were so swollen. And James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy, gave me like his gave me a pair of his extra shoes that were like I wear a size 10 wide. He was like a 12, and he gave me like a 12, and I couldn't even like tie the laces. I had to like, you know, tie them backwards and stuff. Or I'm sorry, put the shoes on and leave them untied. And like going down hills, I was like walking backwards, and you know, he was making fun of me like I looked like Vince McMahon walking down the thing. But by day 4, I mean, we were almost, you know, the start of day 4, I was so far behind everybody, you know, and I was by far like the weakest link. And I felt so ashamed and like embarrassed. And you know what I mean? Like, I just felt like such an asshole for the way that I had judged these people that I didn't know, you know, and I like just thought so highly of myself. Like I'm the shit. I am a beast. I deserve to be here. I'm worthy of this. You guys aren't, you know, in my head. And these people were clearly like doing way fucking better than me, way more prepared than me. And they were nothing but kind to me, you know? And when I was like, you know, I'm thinking if you guys knew how I felt like coming into this, you would just be like, "Ha, you get what you deserve, you fuck asshole." You. Yeah, fuck you. And and rightfully so, you know. But and that's why you know, and they gave me compression socks, all that shit, and helped me. And by day 4, I was like literally, you know, at the time I wasn't selling supplements, and I had started my clothing line, my apparel brand, Massive Apparel at the time. And like, you know, our company motto is, you know, don't be a pussy, and mindset is everything, you know? So, you know, and I've been this guy where I'm doing all these things and, you know, don't be a pussy, mindset is everything. And here I am like retracing the steps of my like heroes, you know, people that I've looked up to, and I'm retracing the steps. Like we're raising money for a fallen Navy SEAL, and here I am, like one of 3 Navy SEALs there, and I'm for sure the weakest link. And I'm like literally to the point where I don't know if I can go another 130 miles because I'm just so crushed right now physically. Like I don't know if, like, it's not like I want to quit, but I don't know how I'm going to, like, and I'm starting to like play this in my head, like, you know, these scenarios of like, how do I tell people that, you know, like I'm looking at my whole identity, brand, all this stuff is like going to be a sham. It's a lie. It's a, you know, fraud. Like that's how I felt, you know, cause I'm like, you know, and everyone's looking at me and my audience. Like at the time I had like 50,000 followers, you know? So, and I was like really having to face that, like becoming a reality. And the thought of that becoming a reality and me having to tell people that I'm quitting and, or like, it's just too hard. I couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. It was just too much. Like it was too much for me to like, I was like, just no, I refuse that. No, I'd rather die. I truly would rather die than be a pussy and just like quit like that. Like, so at that time I just literally just started running, and I just was like, I'm just going to die. I don't care. I'm just going to fall on my face and die. And I'd rather them call my parents and, you know, everybody and like post on Instagram, yeah, Mitch just died. He just ran and died on the way. Ran
himself into the fucking ground.
Yeah. And that's what I would rather do that than make that post saying I fucking quit, you know? And then I just kept going and passed everybody and, you know, ended up finishing first in that day. And everybody, you know how bad I was doing before it. So they were like, what the hell?
Were you sandbagging?
Yeah, they were like,
fuck?
What the hell happened? And I was like,
give me my shoes back.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know it. I don't know how I did that. I don't know. And I just kept doing that. And then like my body just like adapted and just, you know, then I went from like worst to first. And then like everyone started to, like those guys that had prepared for so long, you know, that got them through that first half like pretty unscathed. But then it, you know, it starts to catch up to you, even if you're doing, you know, when you do 4 essentially marathons in a row, like it fatigues your body. Or everyone had blisters, everyone was starting to swell, everyone was, you know, dealing with a lot of pain. And they, you know, and I had kind of gone through that right away, you know, and then like my body kind of adjusted, I guess, or my mind did. And then, yeah, by the end of it, I was in first, like just leading the charge, you know, and on that last day, it was only 20 miles. And I remember seeing the mountain range of Thermopylae because I had been there previously. So I knew what it looked like. And I knew that was essentially the finish line. And I had already just gone through this like immense like hero's journey almost. And you got to think these days are long. It's like 12 hours in the heat walking, across Greece and a lot of time to think and reflect and, and then like sleeping at night and thinking, I got to do this again the next day. And so I had, by the time like the 8th day, that was a big week for me, a lot of deep thought, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of just growth. And that last day, and I saw that mountain range, and I was like, I'm just going to sprint. Like I'm literally like, I was so fired up. I just felt like Leonidas was like, I was reincarnated or something. And thinking about what the Spartans had, I just redid their trail, and they're going to their death, and Greece is so beautiful. And I just imagine what they were thinking, like leaving their families and walking on foot, through this beautiful country of theirs and willingly going to fight and kill and die for it. And it just, again, just everything that I just went through, all the reflection, thinking about them, thinking about all that, it just lit like a fire in me. And I just ran, and as hard as I could, as fast as I could, to like the finish line. And they had sent someone on a bike, like a motorized bike, to come, and they were like, hey, they want you to chill. They want you to slow down. And I was like, I can't. Yeah. Like, I just can't. And I was like, I'll wait at the end, like, so we can all finish together, but I can't right now. Yeah. And I just fucking took off. And I was like, how far ahead am I? And there's like, he's like, I've been going downhill on this bike for 20 minutes to catch it. And I was like, I'll see you at the end. And I just, I couldn't stop. Like I was just too fired up. And then, got to the end and pulled over like 200 yards or so before the finish line, and sat under the trees and waited for 2 hours for everybody to catch up. And then we all went across the finish line together. Wow. And then, went in the hot gates and sat in the springs and everything. And, and I just, again, I felt like I literally just went on my own hero's journey sort of thing. And like James Lawrence had said he was going to write like a kid's book, and that like he, that I was going to be the villain in the beginning and then end up being the hero. And I don't think he ever wrote the book, which, James, I want to see that book. That's a book I'll read. And, but yeah, no. And, we got to the end, and the mayor of Thermopylae was there and presented us with awards because we were the first ones to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
That had never been done since?
Nope.
Never been to their knowledge?
Never been done.
Wow.
And, so the mayor of Thermopylae was there. There was like news people and all that stuff. And, it was super cool. And we finished at the Leonidas statue in Thermopylae. We started at the Leonidas statue in Sparta, and we finished at the Leonidas statue in Thermopylae.
Yeah, how cool is that?
It was super cool. And, and that, again, it was such a impactful thing in my life. It was by far the hardest thing I ever done, way harder than Hell Week for me. Yeah. I mean, when you don't prepare for something, like, whereas Hell Week, I was prepared for damn near a year to go through that. But, with this, I just kind of did it, and it pushed me to like somewhere I've never been before, and had to dig as deep as possible. And again, just taught me that life lesson of being humble and, not judging people or whatever. And so I'm very like thankful for everybody that was a part of that. And then when I came home, I told you I had the apparel line at the time, and immediately when I got home, the first shirt I made, "Be humble."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, what a fucking cool story, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Guys, as you know, I work with a number of different products. One that's easily the most near and dear to my heart from a cause standpoint and a personal relation standpoint is Bubs Naturals. The hat on the coffee table sitting right in front of me belonged to Glenn Doherty. It was a John Deere hat that I gave him. He had it when he tragically passed in Benghazi. And I was fortunate enough to get it back from one of the co-owners of Bubs. He sent it back to me to be able to keep. Bubs Naturals is a tribute to Glenn. He was one of everybody's, he's kind of that guy that was everybody's best friend. I met several people that considered him his best friend, and he was a guy that was impossible not to like, and just, caused happy waves that rippled through every community he was ever a part of. His nickname was Bub, and that's where Bubs Naturals comes from. But it's a lifestyle brand. It's inspired by Glenn. They give a ton to charity. They've donated over $200,000 to charitable causes since their inception in 2018. On Veterans Day, 100% of the proceeds go to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation, which does phenomenal work helping active duty and children of lost active duty members go to college or scholarships that they've donated a ton, and they also are heavy into the recreation space of helping people do that, because that's what Bub was all about. They have collagen peptides, which I put into my morning routine every single morning, as well as the functional creamer / MCT oil that goes into it as well. They have hydrate or electrolyte drink mixes, which are great for pre-workout, during workout, and post-workout to get all the added sodium, potassium, magnesium, etc. that's required when you deplete it. And they now have Bubs Brew, which is a specialty organic coffee that is also very, very good. It's USDA organic, fair trade. It's Whole30 approved, which is the first time that's happened. It's free of yeast, mold, and aflatoxins. Small lot roasted, guaranteed fresh, and it tastes great. Biggest thing is Bubs is a family company. The way that they started is, again, super close to my heart, with him being one of my closest friends for a long time. And I just can't say enough good things about that company, of the product that they put out, why they started, what they give back to veteran communities and the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. And I encourage you to go to bubs.com, and now there's a landing page specifically for Mic Drop listeners. Just enter the code Mike, M-I-K-E, all caps, and you get 20% off your first purchase at bubsnaturals.com. So that's www.bubsnaturals.com/Mike. And you can check out the Mic Drop landing page and go support an amazing cause. As you guys know, sleep is a huge component to recovery and really all aspects in life, and it's something that a lot of us have struggled with, for a lot of our lives, frankly. As you know, I've been a big proponent of Beam, which is a hot cocoa that you drink before you go to sleep, and it's helped tremendously in terms of hours of sleep maintained, as well as the quality of sleep. Today, my listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, which is their science-backed hot cocoa for sleep, and it's got no added sugar. Better sleep has never tasted better. As you know, other sleep aids can cause next-day grogginess and just make you feel crappy, but Dream contains a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and apigenin, also melatonin, to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up feeling refreshed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/MicDrop, all caps, all one word, and use code MicDrop, all one word, all caps, at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/MicDrop and use code MicDrop for up to 40% off. The Mic Drop podcast is proud to be sponsored by American Hartford Gold. These days, the economy is all over the place. Interest rates are crazy. Inflation is nuts. A lot of times it's tough to trust the government. What I will say is that having some sort of liquidity on hand, i.e. cash, gold, et cetera, is important. The problem with cash, and I'm speaking from personal experience, is that whether it's 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, however much cash you want to keep on hand, be it in a safe or what have you, is that, let's say it's $1,000. You put that in a safe. Well, 5 years from now, if you're hanging on to that for emergencies or whatever, 5 years from now, that's still going to be worth 1,000 American dollars. $1,000 in gold 5 years from now is going to be worth more than that. If you look at the historical trend of gold since it's been kept track of in the United States and people have been keeping it on hand, it's gone up. You really can't go wrong with it. And I think it's a good hedge against inflation in that manner. American Hartford Gold is committed to help you by bringing you the truth of that. They have a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. They can show you how to help protect all your savings and retirement accounts. If you don't want to keep physical gold, you can do gold IRAs, or you can have it delivered to your doorstep. It can be set up from a traditional IRA, a 401k, or a thrift savings plan. Really, however it is that you want to incorporate gold into your portfolio, whether it's a significant portion of your portfolio or just having some liquidity at home that's not losing money every time inflation goes up, which it continues to do. Call them now at 855-967-1413 to see if you can qualify for up to $15,000 of free silver on your first order. That's 855-967-1413, or text DROP, D-R-O-P, all caps, to 65532. Again, that's 855-967-1413, or text DROP to 65532. American Hartford Gold will hook you up. Message and data rates may apply. Individual results may vary. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision. There's not much worse than a t-shirt that doesn't fit or wears out after you wear it 2 or 3 times. I'm a big fan of True Classic t-shirts. They're a great sponsor of the Mic Drop podcast. And for a limited time only, you can get 25% off when you shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/mic drop, all caps, all one word. It's designed to accentuate your best features. True Classic shirts are tailored for a perfect fit. Snug in the arms and chest with just the right amount of room in the midsection. The best part is that True Classic sells premium products at an affordable price. You can get their best-selling t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/mic drop and save up to 25% off your first order. Discover the perfect blend of summer vibes and timeless elegance with True Classic. Shop now and elevate your summer wardrobe with ease. And I will tell you, these t-shirts do fit really, really well. There's a lot of crappy t-shirts out there. The free golf t-shirt or whatever you get, from advertisers that are trying to give you stuff and they go for the cheapest crap, whatever. This stuff is the exact opposite of that. And I will say True Classic fits amazing. I love their products and I swear by them. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/mic drop and save up to 25% off your first order. Discover the perfect blend of summer vibes and timeless elegance with True Classic. Shop now and elevate your summer wardrobe with ease. I have a bunch of questions about the actual journey, but the first thing that kind of came to mind as you were talking about that, and you already covered it a little bit, is that how hard their lives were in terms of walking. To me, to think that they did all of that and then had to fight,
right,
is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and we asked, because there was like historians there with us and stuff, or people that studied the Spartans and everything, and we asked them, like, did it take them this long? Did it take them 8 days to do it? And there was kind of mixed reviews. Some people said they did it in 6 days. Some people, they said they did it in 9 days. So, because we were thinking the same thing, because everyone there that did the walk was like, this is so hard, like this is hard on your body. And and to think like, because when we all crossed the finish line, we're like, thank God this is over, you know. But then those guys carried shields and swords and all their weaponry, all their supplies that they had, to camp and stay there and fight. And so we're thinking like, damn, did these guys do this whole thing, carrying all that, and then show up and fight and put on this epic battle? And did they do it faster than we did? Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that 300 is dramatized, and there's a lot of historical inaccuracies. But that was one of my first thoughts in watching the movie. I was like, dude, they're running around in Speedos and capes with a shield and a sword. Where the fuck is everything else?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, I know they're handy and their bushcraft is, you know, better than anybody in modern day, but you still need shit.
Yeah.
You know?
So actually there's actually like a little tiny museum at the battlefield of Thermopylae, and you can go in there and they have like a little movie theater in there, and they kind of show you more of like a realistic depiction and kind of like history of the battle and what happened and stuff. And they did have like wagons and things like that they pulled behind. And there was people. It was 300 soldiers, but there was other, you know, basically
support
techs.
Staff,
yeah.
Yeah.
There was the operators and there was the support. You know.
Yeah. Some things never change.
Yeah. And they actually had battles along the way as well.
Really?
Yeah.
With
there was I can't remember, but we went to they came across one of the battle sites along the way as well.
Wow. So for you guys, did you guys have like a support vehicle or anything with any shit in it? Or
yeah, we had there was a handful of support people that they would like set up little water stations or something like every 10 miles or something like that. And they would have some like fruit and, you know, little snacks to eat.
Were you eating some of that? You're eating everything you get your fucking hands
on?
on?
Yeah. After mile 18 and I threw in the towel on fasting. I was like, there's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Then I was just eating everything.
Everything you could. Did you still take your greens though?
Yeah. Of course. Smash your greens daily.
Yeah, amen. Did you?
It's probably the only reason I was able to finish, to be honest.
Yeah. Were you guys camping like in tents or what? Like, how are you sleeping at night?
No, we stayed at hotels along the way.
Oh, okay.
And it's funny because like when I've told people about this and they're like, "Oh, you stayed in hotels along the way."
Yeah,
that's weak.
Yeah, well, never mind. That's not that cool.
I guess it's not that hard. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I was like hobbling like up the stairs and like laying down, sleeping with my legs on the wall like this to try to get some of the blood out of them. Wow. And I mean, it was Oh, I didn't sleep in a tent, like so it wasn't hard. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Man. So eating wise, were you guys eating at restaurants along the way, or were you
we ate at I think we ate at like 2 restaurants or something like that at night, and then and like the hotels sometimes would have breakfast in the morning. Yeah. Like we stayed at like 2 nice hotels, and then like the rest were kind of just like, you know, almost like third world type hotels, you know.
Yeah. Man. That's wild. What year was that?
That was 2017.
Okay. So, I mean, you hadn't done that when you were on the show last time, had you?
I think I had.
Really? Because I don't remember talking about it. I mean,
because Kyle did it with me, and that was like me, Kyle, and Jeff Gum's like first adventure together. Yeah. Wow. And Kyle was on the show with me on episode 8. Yeah. And we had to have already done that.
Okay. I guess now thinking of it.
Yeah, and if I did the rim to rim, because I did the rim to rim a year later.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you for sure did then, because we did talk about that.
I just didn't tell you, I guess, about...
Yeah, well, I mean... So,
or maybe we did. I don't know. I don't really remember our conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I know we didn't talk about that, but because or certainly not in any kind of detail, but I was also trying to interview you and your entire career militarily and MMA wise, and him as well at the same time. And that was one of those, like, it was the first episode I had 2 guests on, and that episode actually made me say, I'm not doing that again. Like, it's just too much to cover, you know? Yeah,
well, especially with like person like Kyle Maynard, who has such a
both of you.
Yeah, I mean, and like he has such a long pedigree, you know, and resume as it is, and you know, he definitely needs his own kind of show. And then at the time, even me with like being a Navy SEAL and business and fighter or whatever, there's a lot to cover. So
man, well, that was a huge detour from my normal typical handful of first questions. The last one I usually ask. And I know I asked last time, but I'll ask again because it's been 6 years. Your AM routine, what time do you get up and what do the first 3 hours look like?
Good question. I don't have a routine, I would say, because I'm just always on the move so much, and it really depends on where I wake up and where I'm at, what I'm doing. If I'm at my house at the beach, I usually wake up. And that was one thing that I hated about the military. I've never been a morning person and I've tried to be a morning person for years, and I've just never really enjoyed it. My, whatever it is, circadian rhythm, I'm more of a night owl than a morning bird, So, and that was one thing I hated about the military, was waking up early. And I remember just thinking, like, I can't wait. Like, I want to be so successful that I don't have to set an alarm.
Yeah.
Like, cause I've always had trouble sleeping, and I'm actually diagnosed with insomnia.
Really?
Yeah. And so sleep has never been, very good with me. And so when I am sleeping, I hate being woken up by an alarm, you know what I mean? So it's like, I just want to get to a point where I don't have to set an alarm.
Yeah.
And, I can do whatever I'm going to do, like whether you sleep from, 10 to 6 or 12 to 8, like who gives a shit? And that's kind of always been my view. So, and I do things at night when most people are sleeping, so yeah, that's kind of always been my view. I usually wake up around 8 or 8:30, something like that. And I'll usually go on Instagram, because that's essentially my work, and answer messages, things like that. And then I have Smashin Greens, Smashin Reds, collagen. And then I'll do like a protein coffee. And that's usually like my breakfast.
Yeah.
And then head to Massif and see what's on the agenda, you know, as far as work goes. And it totally depends. If I'm feeling it, I'll get a workout in right there. If it depends on kind of what is pressing as far as the workload goes. And every day I kind of prioritize, that's one thing I love about being an entrepreneur, being your own boss, is I really can dictate my schedule and I can dictate what I prioritize, and I love that. And it's kind of like we had talked about yesterday about how with goal setting, and I totally agree. Like, I'm firm in like my goals, like going from A to B is like, B is where I want to be. That's my firm goal, but I'm very flexible in my plan to get there. And as long as like everything that I'm choosing to do, if it's getting me closer to that goal, then I do it. And sometimes, again, it comes to a decision point where I can either do this or this, and this is going to take me this way, this one's going to take me this way, but this one's going to help me get to that win faster and ultimately get to where I want to be faster or whatever. So I'll prioritize that. And that's kind of how I prioritize my day too. Yeah. And then if I'm at, the promised land, which is my farmhouse in the mountains, I've got 50 acres out there, and I've got chickens and peacocks and guineas and my pig. He comes with me everywhere. He's an emotional support pig. But yeah, then like if my day is out there, I wake up, go, mess with my chickens, mess with the peacocks, do a nice trail walk. I've got miles of groomed trails, right on a beautiful big river. And I love to like start my day like that, getting a walk through nature and just kind of be away from, out there. I have 50 acres that backs up to like over 1,000 acres of hunting land, so, and it's in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So it's just, I don't hear any traffic, no people, no neighbors, no nothing. It's just nature. Yeah. And I love like taking my dogs and my pig on the trail walks. Yeah.
And they all get along all right?
Oh yeah. And and people think the pig can't, pig's fast. He's just like a dog, and he loves trail walks, and I love going on trail walks with them and just being in nature and starting my day like that. It's great. And then so it totally depends on where I'm at and
how far is your acreage from where you live and work?
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah, so and then I have a lake house that's 2 hours, and it's literally exactly like halfway on the same route.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. About how much time do you spend? How do you break up the 3 locations?
Yeah, it just
depends.
Yeah, it totally depends. I like to bring friends, family to both, and I like to let people use like the lake house as kind of anybody can kind of go enjoy that. Yeah. But yeah, the Promised Land's, it's awesome. I love to get out there and just kind of reset and get away from everything. Yeah. But yeah, I try to go out there at least once or twice a month.
Yeah, that's good shit. You mentioned you did 75 hard. I would like to just get your take on that as somebody who's done the rim to rim to rim thing. You did the Spartan walk. You've been a professional fighter for a number of years and have had to do some pretty hard camp / weight cuts. Been a Navy SEAL. I mean, like, there's so many other things that you've done that I haven't done 75 hard, but I'm familiar enough with it. I know what the deal is. Like, what was the reason you did it? Not to scoff at it. I think it's a great program and great for a lot of people to do. But for you, what was it like, I want to see what the fucking rub is about, or were you just like, fuck it, I'll try?
No, I just like challenges, and I like pushing myself. I like trying to I'm always trying to improve and be better in some facet of my life. I'm trying to improve in some area every single day better than I was the day before, and it doesn't have to be all at once, you know what I mean? Like, I want to just try to do something and try to be better every day. Yeah. And that challenge, obviously, it's the hardest part of the challenge is the length of it, you know.
And it's every day.
Yeah, and it's just every day for 75 days, and I didn't finish because I got to like day 73 or something like that, and it was my grandma's 80th birthday. And when I was out there with her, we had a big celebration for her, and she wanted to drink some margaritas with me and take shots. My grandma's awesome. Shout out my grandma Bubby.
That's awesome. You're like, I'm not missing that.
Yeah. And I was just like, it's not like, it wasn't something that like is so meaningful to me that I need to, sorry, grandma, like, can't do a shot with you on your 80th birthday. Like, it just wasn't that important to me to do that. And, because I've done so much other shit, like, this isn't proving something to me. You know what I mean? It was a challenge that like helped, keep me on a good path or whatever for a little while. And it was just, it's not something for me that like I'm going to sustain for a long, for the rest of my life or whatever. I wanted to do it to also Andy Frisella's cool, super cool dude, and wanted to, just kind of just support kind of a little bit what he was doing, and but yeah, and like I said, the 10 pages a day I did like, that was something that I'd never really done, or and it was like, okay, I have a reason now to try to read 10 pages a day, and the drinking a gallon of water every day. For me, that was also like, I never did that, and I was just pissing so much that it was annoying, and I feel like for smaller people or girls or something, if they're doing it, it's like, I feel like it should be like, I feel like the water thing should be adjusted to your body weight, almost.
Yeah. I mean, like a 100-pound female, like that actually could be bad,
right?
It could dehydrate you or like dilute your electrolytes and minerals so bad to where it'd be
So it's kind of like it's kind of like a one size fits all program, but I think it should be kind of tailored, but I also think like that's something that I'm not stepping on Andy's toes by any means or criticizing anything, but like this is something that I see with with even the 10-day challenges that I do and stuff like that, and with the Smashin Greens and fasting. And it's like, yes, there are challenges that we're issuing and you can adhere to the rule set, and this is the way the challenge is if we issue it here. But if like you want to do your own challenge, or you can like kind of alter it however you want to do it, and even if you're altering it a little bit and doing it, you know, what works best for you, that's going to be better, I think, than, and it's like, I have so many people like that message me like, can I chew gum? And I'm like, if you want to chew gum, like, I don't like chew gum. It's not, that's not going to like really make that big of an impact, you know? And I don't understand why people kind of can't think for themselves a little bit. So that was kind of, that's been eye-opening to me, is realizing how much people want to be told exactly what to do.
Yeah. Well, it's mindless, you know? I mean, and the one thing I can say, like the decision fatigue, you know, that especially in an entrepreneur role that's faced, is significant, and it is a real challenge.
Yeah. Well, that's why they like a lot of super high level people want to wear the same thing every day to have one less decision to make. Yeah.
Well, and having very choreographed morning and evening routines, having, you know, having a schedule, having a personal assistant that schedules your, you know, to the 5-minute block of time, so that you don't have to think about those things because you're making so many other decisions. And I'm not saying
that's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for a lot of people, I think, but kind of similarly, there's parts of that I adhere to, the morning routine, the evening routine. Like, I have a pretty strict schedule with certain things, and then there's other times where it's like free time or whatever, you know. But for me, that way, like all of the things that I know I need to do for me, for, you know, physical, mental health, you know, et cetera, those things I schedule, and I don't think about them. I just do them. It's, you know, and so my morning routine, my first better part of 2 hours is, you know, movement, mobility, some working out, sunshine, cold plunge. Like I have a very, you know, I'm checking all these boxes.
You do that every day?
Every fucking morning.
You have a cold plunge at your house?
I do.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I don't know if, like, when you're looking out the back, there was the sauna.
We should have done the cold plunge.
I mean, it's set right now. I mean, it gets used every day. But, well, actually, I take that back. I just filled it back up about 2 weeks ago. From mid-December to about now, I just get in the swimming pool because it's 50 fucking some odd degrees. It's fucking cold anyway, you know. And my hot tub similarly is fucking cold. You can just jump in it, and it's the same. So to me, like, to not have redundancy, like there's no reason to have a cold plunge when, you know, the pool's 53 degrees or whatever. But yeah, in the summertime it's necessary because the pool is not cold. Even the shower isn't fucking cold, you know, so then it's necessary. But anyway, and evening, same thing, you know, so that way I know if I do nothing else for the rest of the fucking day,
at least you got that.
What I've done in the morning and what I do at night has checked all of the boxes to where I say, okay, I'm doing the bare minimum of what I'm doing. And then anything on top of that is just, you know, is extra. So, so that I do like, because and same thing with like shit around the house. It's like, if it's dinner time or whatever, it's like, I don't just fucking make something, or, you know, just like, I don't want to decide those things, you know, or what have you. So, anyway,
I'm very boring, I would say, or to some people might consider my diet pretty boring, because I have like 7 things on my menu that I'll eat for a week straight, the same meal. And I typically only eat like once a day, usually. And I have my Smashin Greens and Smashin Reds, collagen, you know, my protein coffee in the morning. And then for lunch, I'll typically just have my greens and reds and collagen again. And then I'll do like a healthy, clean, I try to stick to single ingredient, whole natural foods. So I eat a lot of eggs, and especially now that I have my own chickens, and, you know, they're happy, free range, organic chickens. They only eat organic chicken food and bugs, you know, and they're all day long. They're all over the you know, woods and yard and scratching around, eating bugs. They're happy. And all that nutrients, the eggs are so much more nutrient dense than like store-bought eggs, where, you know, you've got factory farming, and these chickens are just pumped full of hormones, and the moment they're born into stressful lives, and they live their entire lives in stress, and and then it's just horrible, and all that stress and everything gets passed through into the eggs, and they're not nutritious, and people are starting to know that, and you can tell the difference in the yolks, and one's like a real light yellow and the other one's dark orange, and so now they're even starting to dye the egg yolks so that people can't tell that. And
you can usually tell in the taste, though.
I absolutely love eating my chicken's eggs, like that. I know where these came from. I know the government's not, screwing with these in any way. And eggs are the highest quality protein that you can get. They have all the essential amino acids, everything. And so I tend to eat a ton of eggs, steak, eggs, avocado, sweet potatoes. That's usually like my favorite. That's my go-to. Yeah. And I try to keep my diet, the majority of my diet intake protein, and then healthy fats, and very, very little carbs. I really try to avoid breads, pastas, sugar, alcohol, and but I have a hellacious sweet tooth.
Yeah. I saw it.
I'm a fat kid at heart, and
that cheesecake didn't stand a fucking chance.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I like we were talking about. I can't keep fucking sweets in the house.
No, I can't be trusted around them.
It's like a fucking heroin hit.
Yeah.
Like the second I take a bite, I'm fucking eating all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no moderation is for cowards.
Yeah, that's the fucking truth. Yep.
But I try to just eat big steak and 8 eggs and try to get full on good quality, lean protein,
nutrient dense food.
Yep. And I have my greens and reds and.
With training, especially like if you're doing a camp for a fight or a competition of some kind, and you're doing a specific scheduled, 6-8 weeks, whatever, do you up your carb intake a little bit? No. And you never run into like the keto flu kind of crashing feeling? Nothing?
No. I train hard as shit, and I've trained fasted so many times for so many fights where I'll drink my Smashin Greens and fast with them, my Smashin Greens and reds and collagen and protein, and I'll do 10 days with no physical food at all, and training really hard, sparring, lots of rolling rounds, and lifting weights still, doing sprints, all of it, swimming, and I never have any issues with that. And I know there's some new studies coming out that Thomas DeLauer, he just posted about them, and they looked at all of the studies with carbohydrates, and what they found was it's not so much the carbohydrates that are helping people with their workouts, it's the calories. Calories play more of a factor than the carbs themselves. And so, you can get a lot of calories and fat and protein still.
Yeah. I remember we did it was part of a study, or it was on the heels of a study at Kodiak. They had been doing or testing kind of that philosophy of saying, okay, carbohydrates, if you analogize fuel like gasoline, the equivalent or the analogy would be that starchy or sugary carbohydrates, high glucose type of index carbs are jet fuel. Super flammable, burn hot as fuck, but super fast. Fats are kerosene, low flash point or whatever, and they burn slow but long. And so they were using like mountaineering, not expeditions, but excursions where they were having people do both. Like it was like they'd have one test group get most of their energy for the day's trekking off of carbohydrates, and the other one from fat, and kind of came to that same conclusion that the fat group was much easier for them to kind of adjust to long, super high intensity physical exertion because it was consistent, whereas the carbohydrate group, it was like a fucking roller coaster of crashing and whatever. And so they implemented that with us, as they said, okay, here's your Mountain House meal. we're going to do, you know, low carb ones, and we're going to add fucking Parmesan cheese and olive oil and, you know, shit that just has a ton of fat in it. And so we would go on several day trips and have just a shitload of fat, and it was pretty cool. But.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that human beings, we weren't meant to just effortlessly gorge on food all day. And
as fun as that is.
Yeah. And we're smart enough to where we've manipulated the food chain to do so. But, you know, in nature, there's not human beings, like when you think about nature, like there's no processed foods. Like there's animal products, you know, animals that you can kill and eat. And there's things that grow from nature, fruits and vegetables. And I think that the human body is meant to, you know, that's what fat is. It's stored energy. Yeah. You know, when we're hunters and gatherers, and you'd come across things, you eat nuts and fruits and vegetables, meats, whatever, and then you know, eat as much as you can and go and your body stores that fat for fuel reserves, you know. And yeah, and that's like with the whole thing with, you know, I do a lot of fasting with my Smashin Greens, and I tell people it's like food. I think that our society, you know, food is a drug, and nobody looks at it like a drug because they're like, oh, you need food to survive, but you don't need food to survive. You need nutrients to survive, and that food is just a delivery of nutrients. And you know, so and in a typical daily diet, the average person is not getting a ton of nutrients because they're eating like shit. Yeah. And or the foods they're eating just aren't super nutrient dense, you know. And that's why it's like no shock to me when people do my fast or, you know, take the Smashin Greens and Smashin Reds, and they're like, man, I don't feel hungry. This is crazy. I haven't had food in, you know, so long, and I don't feel physically hungry. And I'm like, yeah, because you're saturating your body with an abundance of organic nutrient dense superfoods, you know. So it's not shocking that you don't feel that. Like I tell people, like, you know, when you're thirsty, that's your body saying, I want water, and then when you drink, that thirst goes away, it's quenched. Same thing, like that's what hunger is. Your body's craving nutrients. When it gets nutrients, it goes away. There's a difference between hunger and cravings. You know, like I could be so full, but ice cream always sounds good. You know, it's not that I'm hungry. It's that
shit sounds good.
Ice cream sounds good. It always sounds good. But, you know, and I tell people, like, to me, dieting and all that stuff, it's easy. And I can be around people that are eating stuff that I want to eat or that sounds good or whatever, and I don't need to participate in it all the time because I know what ice cream tastes like. I know what pizza tastes like. I know it's good. Got it. Been there. I've eaten it 1,000 times probably, you know, like I know exactly what that tastes like, and I can picture it in my mind right now. But right now I'm on a diet and I have a goal in mind, like whether it's a fight I'm losing weight for, or if it's you know, I do like the things I just did for all of March. I did every other day fasting with my Smashin Greens and Reds and protein. So every other day I would fast, and then every other day I would eat clean foods, single ingredient, whole natural foods. So on my clean eat days, I would just eat you know, as much as I want. I don't count calories. I don't count macros or anything like that. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with doing that. I just don't do it. And because I typically have one meal a day, I'm not exceeding anything or in excess or whatever. And the majority of, again, my diet is protein. And then, you know, healthy fats, avocado, you know, salmon, that kind of things. And it's just not detrimental at all. And I stay lean, you know, I train hard and feel great.
I love it. How many times a year would you say on average you do that 10-day greens fast? So
I haven't done, I kind of switched to more now. Instead of the 10-day, I usually do 5 days. And that just seems to be a little bit better. You know, and so I use myself as like a guinea pig, you know, and I always want to try things, and, you know, I'll try carnivore, I'll try whatever, I'll try any kind of thing to see, because I think everybody's different and everybody reacts differently to things. And, you know, there's people out there that swear by carnivore, and that's the only way. If you talk to them, that, you know, everyone's an idiot if you're not doing that. And then vegans and vegetarians are the same. And
have you tried vegan?
No, I have
You have moral heartburn.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have testicles. So, but yeah. So, but you know, if it works for people out there, then more power to you. You know, I think everybody's different and everybody responds to things differently. And so for me, I do try different things, and I used to do the 10 days a lot, but I've found that I feel like the 5 day is kind of that sweet spot, and a good point. So I've been recently doing more of the 5 days, and then I do like the I call it the massive meltdown. So it's the month long of every other day, and I think that's a really good way for people to kind of to try it out. Because it's only 24 hours of fasting. Because when you tell people like, yeah, I'm not going to eat food for 5 days or 10 days, they're like, what? That's crazy, you know?
Like, fuck that.
And they can't even fathom that, you know, because most people eat all day long. You know, our entire world is surrounded by food. Every activity we do is, you know, geared around socialization, is around drinking or eating, you know, everything you do. And when you drive around, you just never realize how many restaurants there are until you fast. Yeah. You know, and then you're like, and how much time you spend in your day, you know, preparing food, thinking about what you're going to eat, actually cooking, eating, cleaning up from it. And then when you remove all that, you're like, God, I have so much free time, you know? And so, but yeah, no, I typically do 5 days now, and I'll do that like for sure quarterly. Yeah. And I'll probably do the meltdown probably 2, maybe 3 months out of the year. I'll spread it out, you know, but do the every other day fasting. And sometimes, you know, and that just helps keep me like in check and keeps me, you know, lean and I like using it as a tool, you know, like if I know that I want to go somewhere, like if I'm going on vacation or something like that, I'll probably fast for 5 to 10 days, depending on where I'm going, what I'm doing, how long, whatever. I'll fast before I go on the vacation, enjoy myself on the vacation, guilt-free, eat, drink, whatever I want, be merry. And then when I come back, pay for my sins on the back end, you know, and then it's kind of like a wash. Yeah. And, or if I have like a photo shoot coming up or something like that, and I want to tighten up and be a little leaner, I'll do a 3-day fast, you know, and just tighten it up. And it's good. It's a great reset. It's good to give your body a break from food once in a while, you know? And we just, like, again, we weren't meant to just effortlessly gorge on food all day. Yeah. And people think that, like, you know, oh, well, I'm in the gym, I have to eat 4 meals a day, blah, blah. You don't. You really don't. Trust me, you don't. Like, I train hard as shit, and I'll do that with 10 days with no food. Yeah. And, like, so don't tell me you can't. Yeah. You know?
That's awesome, man. So obviously you fast quite a bit. Yeah. One question that comes to mind for me is from a bowel movement standpoint, is there like phases of when you're fasting, or do you still continue to shit pretty normally through an entire 10-day fast?
I would say it gets a little bit like slower towards the end.
But for the first few days, it's pretty much
first few days normal. Yeah. And then I think towards the end it's a little bit slower, but I think you do still shit, you know, and I think that's maybe like fat coming out, you know, or something, like because there are still shits coming out, and
they're normal, like there's not a huge disparity in
I mean, they're usually green,
with fucking claws coming out of them. How do you typically break the fast? Is there a ritual or routine that you do at the same time?
I tell people, like, you know, everyone's different. So, but I say kind of ease back into it. If you've never done it before and you don't know how you're going to react
spit
to
on
it
first.
Yeah. Spit on it and ease into it. And, so, you know, maybe like a salad or something like that, and just kind of work your way back up to a normal food. Yeah. I've been doing it so long, I jump straight steak, eggs, avocado.
Yeah. No problem.
No problem. None.
All right. So for the last 6 years, what the fuck have you been doing?
Last 6 years. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't remember if the Smashin Greens were in existence, or, you know, because at first I was like mixing like 7 different products together, and it wasn't my own product. It was just a blend of these different superfoods that I mixed together, and my following called it the Smashin Greens because I was the Smashin Frog.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't, and I didn't make it a product until 2018. So I don't remember if the Smashin Greens were born yet officially or not.
I don't think they were, because I don't remember talking about them on there.
Yeah. So that was obviously like a huge thing that kind of happened. I did. I ended up making my own product called the Smashin Greens, and that was purely out of annoyance. Yeah. At the time I was just trying to build my Instagram page up, and at the time I had 50,000 followers on Instagram, and I was selling T-shirts. And the thing with selling T-shirts, it's great because people buy your brand and wear and promote your brand, so they're essentially paying to advertise for you, which is great and it's cool. But a T-shirt is good for a long time, so in order to capture that customer again, you need to come out with a new T-shirt for them to buy. So, and at the time I had like 30 different T-shirts, but the thing with T-shirts is you have to get small, medium, large, XL, double XL, and extra small for vegans. And, if you have, like different colors, you got to do all of that for the same color. So I had, our mindset is everything shirt and like 6 different colors. So I had so much product and inventory, and it was just a lot, and, but again, it was still a business, in my first year of selling T-shirts out of my bedroom, just on a Shopify account, I did over 150,000 in sales, which is, crazy to me. Yeah. So I was just trying to think of ways to grow my audience and be consistent with posting and everything. And I ended up posting, I didn't have anything to post one day, so I just posted my morning sort of routine of these superfoods that I drink, and told people about these fasts that I do in order to cut weight for my fights. And everyone's like, whoa, what is that? How do you do that? Blah, 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 And so I laid it out there and just made it as, idiot proof as possible, put all the ingredients out and said, hey, I don't have any association with these brands, and I'm not sponsored by them. Like, you can get them all on Amazon or at your local vitamin shop or whatever, and go get them. And it was like that for like a year and a half, and people were just still asking me question after question after question. And so eventually I was like, man, I need to just bring all this to like a manufacturer and just see if I can have them put all of this in one thing and make it, just a convenient one scoop sort of thing. So that's what I did, and just brought it to life. And here, the Smashin Greens are a thing, and stop asking me so many questions.
Fucking buy it and shut up.
And I didn't think anything of it, honestly. Because I didn't think it was going to be like life changing or anything like that. But then I issued a challenge. So how I came about actually, like with the fasting and everything, I had actually watched a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. That was an older documentary. Maybe 10 years ago I watched it. And it was about this guy that was overweight, and he had this weird like skin disease or something. And he did a 60-day juice fast where he just drank vegetable juice for 60 days, no solid food. He ended up losing like over 100 pounds. His skin disease cleared up, and his blood work was like phenomenal. The doctors were like blown away. And the guy like literally looked like a different person, in 2 months. And I was like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
That's wild. And again, me just being in the challenges and wanting to challenge myself, I was like, well, I'll try that. And I went and bought a vegetable juicer, and I got like $30 worth of vegetables to like make enough juice to feel kind of satiated. And it was a pain in the ass, man. And like I had to clean that juicer like 3 to 4 times a day, which, you know, if you've ever messed with a juicer, it's a lot of little parts to take apart and clean. My house smelled like I was like carving pumpkins all day. And, you know, I didn't feel great, you know, but I just wanted to do it just to do the challenge, you know, just to see what it was like. And I was like, you know, there's got to be a better way than this. And I came across actually a juice bar. And I was like, oh, this is much better. I can just pay for them to make a juice. And they had all these different superfoods listed on the wall and like what their benefits were. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, I want some beets. I want maca. I want this, you know? And so I just kind of pieced together all of this and you know, but they tend to, you know, they'll put heavy a cucumber in there because it's like that cheap. It's a lot of volume for cheap, and it's, you know, but that's not really nutrient dense, you know. And like the wheatgrass shots are only this big, you know, and they charge you $2 extra for it. But wheatgrass is like the Mac Daddy of superfoods, you know. So, and they were always sold out of the wheatgrass shots, and it was pissing me off. And I was like, man, how hard is it to grow wheatgrass? And it turns out it's not that hard at all. I just Googled it, and they sell wheatgrass seeds at Whole Foods. So, and it's literally like you just put like a paint tray and some soil, some wheatgrass seeds, dampen a wet paper towel, put it on there, and 2 days later you'll see, you know, you have wheatgrass growing. So I literally did that. I went and grew wheatgrass, and I brought it to them, and I said, here, it's not that hard to grow wheatgrass. Stop running out. It's like, because I want to come here every day and get my drinks, you know. And they're like, oh wow, like, will you grow our wheatgrass for us? And I was like, yeah. Can I get free drinks? And they're like, sure. So I was like, oh, cool. So I made like a little deal with them, and
that's hilarious.
Yeah, so I grew their wheatgrass, and it was super easy. And then I got as much, you know, free drinks as I wanted, and so that was cool. And then they ended up moving locations, and I was like, damn, back to square one, you know. Yeah. And then I was in Vitamin Shop, and I came across organic freeze dry wheatgrass, and I was like, oh, cool. I was like, just add water and it's organic wheatgrass. I was like, oh, that's dope. And I was like, I wonder if they have the rest of like the things I want, you know, and spirulina, chlorella, maca, all these things. So I'm like, yeah, they do. And so I bought all these different products, and, you know, and then I just mixed them together, like a scoop from each, and made my little green concoction. And that's what, you know, my followers ended up naming the Smashin Greens, you know, and that was what I started fasting with, that instead of vegetable juice, like from, you know, actually juicing them. I just started fasting with that instead, and I felt great, and I felt, you know, tons of energy. I could still train and stuff like that. So I was fighting MMA a lot at that time, and, you know, I was cutting a lot of weight. So, and I was a champion in 2 different weight classes at the same time. So I was going back and forth.
Which classes? 185
and 170. So, so I used the fasting as like kind of like a life hack to like cut weight. Yeah. And, you know, cause I'm still in a huge caloric deficit, but I'm getting a ton of nutrients. So I'm still able to train. I feel good, but I'm still losing weight, you know, every day. And, so that's how it came about. Like, this was purely made for me, you know, and then I just didn't have anything to post one day on Instagram. So, you know, and I was trying to be like very, consistent with posting. So I was like, oh, I'll just post, you know, here's my morning little concoction. And everyone's like, whoa, what is that? And asking me all these questions about it. And yeah, again, just purely out of annoyance, eventually I was like, all right, I'm just going to make my own product so people quit bugging me. Yeah. And I made my own product, didn't think anything of it. And then I got the idea to do a challenge to my followers. And at the time now, I think I was at like 70,000 followers on my first account. Yeah. And I had this idea. I was literally like sleeping on a plane, and I woke up and I just like wrote it out in my like phone, pulled it out, and like when we landed, I sent it. And it was the idea for the 10-day challenge. And I said, if you buy my Smashin Greens and you fast for 10 days using my product, and you post a before picture, and then you do daily weigh-ins on your story so that I can see that you're consistently losing weight every day and not just like crashing at the end or sitting in the sauna and, you know, doing something like that. So if you're actually fasting with my product every day, and then you do a after picture on day 10, and you lose a minimum of 15 pounds, write out on your caption like your experience on this challenge and how you feel and everything. And if you do that and you're successful, I will give you your money back for the product. I'll give you $100 cash and a $100 gift card to my website. And I said, you have nothing to lose but wait.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you know, at the time I didn't have like really any money or anything like that, you know.
Should have bankrupted you if enough people sign up for it.
Well, like, and then, you know, my mom and everyone calling me, and they're like, what? And they see the post and they're like, what are you doing? Like, you can't afford to do that. Like, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I hope everybody does it. Like, cause that's going to show that my product you just lost 15 pounds in 10 days, you know, and I've done this enough to where I know what it's going to be. Like, I've done this enough. I feel great. Like, I know what it's going to be. And sure enough, like, it just started going crazy, and we did like almost 115,000 in sales in a week. Jeez. And I was just like, shit. Oh my God. Like, I just hit the lottery. Like, this is insane. And, you know, and so many people like did and had like bought them and had like incredible experiences. All of the captions were the same basically, you know, and it's like, I'm not telling these people what to write, you know, and everyone was having like wild success with it. And it just, now I was like, fuck, well, okay, I guess this is
what I'm doing
now, you know, like, and I was like literally like planning to like go fight in the UFC, you know, cause I just got out of the Navy, and, you know, I was fighting, and I'd fought while I was still active duty, and I was going out to Black House MMA in Los Angeles and training, you know, Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida, Tony Ferguson, Brian Ortega, all those guys, Sean Strickland, all those guys were out there, and I was, you know, going out there all the time and training out there, and shout out Kenny Johnson and Bolt Wrestling, but yeah, but then when that happened, and, you know, I was like, holy shit, okay, redirect, you know, this is going to, I'm prioritizing this now. Kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier, you know, and my A to B, like my B was, I want to be able to provide and, you know, take care of everyone that I love and care about, like financially. That's like what my B is. And, you know, I thought going to the UFC would be a way to do that, you know? And then when I hit this kind of, you know, detour of, well, this is a real moneymaker, and, you know, I'm making way more than people in the UFC, or the potential to, you know? So I was like, all right, well, this is going to be prioritized now. And that's what it did, you know? And then it just blew up from there, and it caught like wildfire, you know? And then it, like, I would say my true journey of like entrepreneurship started, and as a serious business owner, and like, cause it turned into a multi-million-dollar company, and I have no business experience. I didn't go to college for that. You know, obviously I didn't even plan on that being a thing or happening. I had no idea that would happen. So it was very much a learning experience for me. And, you know, and I'm just going off the cuff, like, and trying to use my best judgment and, you know, just winging it, you know.
Dude, that's amazing, man.
And common sense. And I really like just felt like Captain Obvious with how I ran my business. You know, it's like, okay, well, I just want to make the best quality product that I can. You know, one, my name's on this, you know, and I made this product for me. So yes, obviously I want it to be as good as it can be. And I didn't cut corners on anything, you know, didn't skimp on anything. And I also looked at it from the mindset, like, I wasn't trying to maximize profit. I was literally trying to make the best product possible. And because I'm using this is for me. And I looked at it like, I'm not even paying for this. My customers are. So why wouldn't I, get the best ingredients and do the best possible formula? Yeah. And that was my approach, and then it turned into like, okay, now this is becoming like, I have a following and an engaged audience of supporters that they're also now enjoying these products or whatever. So now it's like I'm building these for me and them, and I just put, people over profit. Yeah. And it worked out really well, and I didn't do any traditional marketing in the sense like, no advertisements or anything like that. It was just all directly from my Instagram and other people doing the challenges and telling other people about it. And, we've been able to do $12 million in sales. Wow. Just word of mouth.
That's incredible, man.
So that's been crazy cool. But again, we've had major growing pains along the way, to include COVID. And that was just, that's not growing pains. That's, something just on its totally own thing. But yeah, like we were rapidly growing and we sold out a product 4 different times, like faster than we projected. And it was like we were just going through product like crazy and we couldn't keep up with demand, fast enough. And so it was like real growing pains, which I've experienced, growing pains. I've experienced kind of indigestion, like I heard that described as someone was talking about, like they said, not all businesses die of starvation. Some die of indigestion, you know, and having too much on their plate and stuff. Yeah. And I felt that. And so like, I've definitely gone through a ton of adversity in my business. And I feel like I was so thankful that I've been through so many other adversities in my life, because had I not, like, I probably would have like threw in the towel with the business. And I see why so many businesses fail. And it's because you have to rely on so many other outside sources too. Yeah. And that's really difficult, you know, when you have to rely on other people and nobody cares like you do about your business. And, and it's just been a very like steep learning curve and been real highs, real lows, and super cool. And,
it's been an amazing journey. I mean, having, kept track of everything that you have going on, I'm super proud of everything you've accomplished. And it's just been neat to see, the progression of going from, the last time you were here to where you are now.
Thank you. And likewise.
Oh, I appreciate it. And you've created, a host of different products, but also, gis and rash guards. Yeah. And so you have the greens, the reds, the collagen, any other digestible products or?
I mean, I had a whole supplement line, with damn near 25 SKUs, but that again was kind of like the indigestion, where that's, if I had to say like one mistake, like biggest mistake that I've made in my business and my company, I would say is I spread myself too thin, because you have to like also remember, like, I don't have any investors. Yeah. I bootstrapped this, solely, and started this from literally selling t-shirts out of my bedroom. Yeah. No one in my family has money. I don't come from money. Like, I don't have any investors. I didn't take any like big loans or anything like that. Like, so I was having to just sell product, use that money, buy more product, use that money, and keep flipping it into the business and growing that way, which comes with its own challenges. And, especially when you're growing rapidly and I'm trying to buy as much product as I can afford to grow as much as I can and have as much, but that only, like, I'm buying little chunks of runway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where, and when I hit that runway's end, if I don't have product to sell, then I don't get income, so it's like, it was very challenging. And then again, it was just going crazy. Everyone was doing the challenge. It was great. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to start making, why buy a protein when I can just make it? And like, I'm going to make it better than anything else out there, you know? So I basically looked at every supplement that I was personally taking and was like, yeah, I'm going to just make my own. And I did that. And we had, 7 different proteins and flavors and stuff like that. But again, you start to get into kind of the more SKUs, more inventory, and, as you increase the volume, some of these purchase orders, are hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'm paying cash for. And then I have to wait until they're made. And, I'm paying 50% down, wait till they're made, and then pay 50% down once they're made, and then recoup that money slowly, over time, which was fine. Everything's, got a profit margin. You're making money and stuff. But I had so much product, so many things, and it was just, it was making me spread thin on my resources of money, and again, I'm the only source of my income, so, and then where I should have just focused on my greens, and reds, and those were like my 2 top sellers, so that's kind of what, now fast forward, COVID happened, and that, is a whole thing that we can get into, and kind of really just really damaged my sales and income and everything like that, which forced me to, adapt and change course, and I had to downsize and I had to streamline and now put the limited resources I have into my top products, which are my greens and reds and, collagen, and grow those from there. And, it sucks to like have to take a back step like that, but sometimes you have to just adjust. And that's like what I'm going through now. And my goal is, I'm just trying to rebuild right now. And my goal is to get back to a supplement line, but a more streamlined one. And also because my products are now NSF certified for sport, which is the highest certification that you can get in the supplement industry. It's a requirement for all Olympic athletes, professional athletes, collegiate athletes. They are usually only allowed to take products that are NSF certified for sport. It's a very, strict process. The facility also has to go, that they're manufacturing also has to go through the certification process, and they test for over 270 banned substances. The label claims that you make have to match exactly what's on there, and so it's just, they know it's like clean and legit, and it's a very expensive process as well. And I would like to get all of my products, NSF certified for sport. Right now, my greens and my reds are, but eventually, like, my goal is to have my greens, reds, collagen, a whey isolate protein, probably just one flavor, creatine, and electrolytes. And that's what I need as an athlete. That's super important to me, and that I want to get, and make the best top quality products, and that'll be good. I'm in the rebuilding process right now. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know we talked a little bit about kind of the ups and downs and roller coaster that is owning your own business, and it can be daunting sometimes. Not sometimes, most of the time. Because it's a unique position to be in, and that you don't answer to anybody but yourself. But if you have high standards, and you're hard on yourself, then you're kicking your own ass all the time.
You also have no one to rely on. It's you. And
at the end of the day, you're the guy that has to kind of answer the mail, and that can be tough. I've got some Patreon questions, so I've got Patreon members that wanted me to ask you a handful of questions, so I wanted to go through those. And for those listening, I do encourage you to check out Patreon. We have bonus footage of Mitch and I doing different funtivities, throughout our time together, and all guests behind the scenes footage, and you get access to other things that I have going on too. But
subscribe to Patreon.
Yeah, go on that Patreon page. So, all right, this is from Paul Lively. He said, Mike, would you please ask Mitch to comment on how he thinks the Adopt a Cop program is going? Is it something he will continue to support?
Okay, so Adopt a Cop BJJ, if for those of you that don't know, is a charity that I started about 2.5 years ago, I think, or maybe 3 almost. I don't know. And so this was a charity that it was my response to essentially George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all this, defund the police movement was going on. And, I, like anyone with a brain, realized that that's not the correct answer, to defund the police. And the correct answer was, in my opinion, that they need more training. And specifically in jiu-jitsu, I felt was, where a lot of these situations, or, that knowing jiu-jitsu would have helped a lot of these situations. A lot of these shootings could have been avoided had the police officer known even a blue belt level of jiu-jitsu. And I think anyone that does jiu-jitsu on a serious level, and I would consider blue belt or higher a serious level of jiu-jitsu, or at least a serious understanding, that if you, like, anyone who saw those shootings, anyone who did jiu-jitsu said, like, if that cop knew a little bit of jiu-jitsu, that would have been avoided, right? And I personally feel like a lot of those shootings stemmed from fear. And when you do jiu-jitsu, it's so it's such a up close and personal martial art, and you're constantly hands-on and manipulating like another person's body, and you just get so familiar with it that it's not scary to do. There's a system, there's a process, you know what to do. And so at a blue belt level versus someone that has no idea what they're doing, you don't stand a chance. And so that was like my thinking was, man, like, police officers need to train jiu-jitsu, and they need to be like at least a blue belt level. It would make everything so much better. There would be less shootings, they would be safer, and so I wanted that to be a thing. And, and I was saying, like, cops need to have, like, every precinct should have a mat room at their place and have a black belt there to teach them. But I knew that was like light years from being a reality. And I knew that the police system is kind of like the military, where government run, good luck getting anything done in a timely fashion. And especially like, you have so many bosses, and it's only going to get done if the right boss, it's his idea and he gets credit for it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so I just knew that it was just not going to happen anytime fast. But I thought, they could do this on their own. And I thought this could be like a civilian type program or sponsorship. And so I was like, and I used to send money to, like the little starving kids in Africa, and they send you like a little picture, you adopted, this kid or whatever. And so I kind of had that idea, like, I wonder if people would want to adopt cops, like, and pay for their Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it's like there was a lot of people, the country was very divided, and like there was people that wanted to support police. And I was like, well, this is a way that they can do that, put your money where your mouth is kind of thing. And so I had that idea, and I was like, and at the time, Massive was doing very well, we were doing very well financially, and I had a lot of money, and I was like, you know what, I could do this. Like, I don't even need anyone, I'm going to start my own charity. And because I also like have seen so many shitty charities, and like you donate all this money, and like, where does this go? What does it actually do? And so I was like, you know what, this will be a cool way, like, to give back and show my support and like make a difference. And so I was like, same thing. I was just like, you know what? I announced it on Instagram Live one day. I was doing the Mitch show or whatever, and I said, hey, any cop or in the country, if you want to learn jiu-jitsu, if you want to like actually learn, I'll pay for your jiu-jitsu membership. And I didn't put a limit on it or whatever. And like I put the first 60 police officers on my own just credit card. Wow. And paid for their membership.
All over the place.
Like all over the country. Yeah. And because I wanted that to be like to get the ball rolling, like a proof of concept. And so my idea was like, in order to be like visible, I said, I started the Adopt a Cop BJJ Instagram page, and I told these cops, like, this is going to be participation, your attendance is required, you know what I mean, for the sponsorship. So you have to train in order to maintain your sponsorships. You had to train in the beginning. I had just 1 day a week. And so the officers would have to train 1 day a week, and they would have to make a post on Instagram and tag Adopt a Cop and say, like, you know, this is why, you know, training is important, like, or what benefits you're getting from learning jiu-jitsu, and like how you can apply it to being a police officer. And, you know, as a way to gain exposure and like have other people want to support and donate, you know, and to grow the program. And that kind of like just took off, you know, like, and again, that was like my idea was it was going to get a good proof of concept with these first 60 officers, and it did. And people, you know, but I was surprised no corporations or anything like would sponsor it. Like the majority of our donations have, well, been me, but I've been our biggest donor, but the majority next to that has been like, we had a roundup feature for a while on my website that you could round up $1 and donate to Adopt a Cop. And that was really helpful. And we got a lot of donations from that. But yeah, it's like just people, you know, on my Instagram page that supported police that donated, you know, their own money, and just regular, everyday individual people. And, yeah, and the program grew. You know, we're in all 50 states. We have over 1,500, or no, we have over 1,000 gyms across the country in all 50 states that are a part of the program and affiliated with us. And we've graduated almost 400 officers to Blue Belt.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So, but yeah, and it's weird. Like, you know, a lot of times we get a lot of, I feel like ungrateful, like people are entitled a little bit. And, like, I don't know if they just heard about this or whatever. And like, they'll come on and kind of like bark around or be rude, or like we only allow certain amount of, officers at a time, and we open up the registration to like 50 new officers or something. And like, it goes quick, you know, cause people are on the waiting list, and they get like pissed off or whatever. And it's like, bro, this is me running a charity. Like, yeah. You know, I'm not a government funded thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people, and I'm strapped for cash right now. Like, if you want to help raise money, like, yeah. You know, like, this is a charity. I don't need to do this. Like, yeah. I'm giving back and supporting, which is kind of frustrating, you know, weird, yeah. But, but I also have no problem telling people to fuck off, like, cause like, dude, like, I don't need to do this. I'm doing this to give back and help. So if you want to be an asshole about it, like, fuck off. Yeah. And you know, that's where I'm at with that. But, yeah, no, the charity is at a point where, you know, we're getting enough donations to sustain, you know, we can't really grow right now. If you want the program to grow, talk about it, and you know, try to fundraise and stuff like that. But it's there. We have a good amount of people in the program every day, and you know, as like we graduate a handful of people, we open up more spots. And yeah, as long as I don't see, you know, why I wouldn't continue it. Yeah. So
that's great, man. It sounds like an awesome program. Again, kind of seeing you go through it, I was like, man, that's a fucking great idea, and I agree. And yeah, it's really neat. Slim Pickings. What's that?
I said thanks.
Yeah. Well, where can people go to support? Just Adopt a Cop on.
So adoptacopbjj.org.
Okay.
Yep. And
it's a full blown 501 and all.
Yep. 501c3. Yep.
Awesome. Slim Pickings asks, who tapped who out on the mat? I'll go ahead and answer this one. Man, I feel like it was pretty close. No, it was not close at all. You know, there's levels to everything, and Mitch is at that level where, you know, like, you're competing with the best guys in the world who compete for a living. You know? So like, I'm a hobbyist. There's not really a comparison there. He's a black belt, I'm a purple belt, and it's not close. So it was humbling to say the least.
It was close.
We'll go with that. Gretchen asked, what accomplishment or milestone is he most proud of, and what was your first job?
What milestone accomplishment am I most proud of? Being able to help my family and loved ones. I've been able to help my family and loved ones a lot, with different things financially, and that's definitely like the most rewarding feeling for me. And I love helping people. I'm not like the type to like just post everything I do, or like, I feel like that's weird. And which I do actually like I see some of these pages and stuff that kind of, it's like hidden camera type, charitable type nice stuff. And I think that's needed in the world. I think that's a great thing. But like, I also, it's like a double-edged sword where it's like you get people doing it just for clout or something like that, and like wanting the notoriety of like, hey, I did this nice. Did you see that? Kind of thing. So like, I understand that's kind of like a double-edged sword, but like, I don't post shit that I do, like charitable stuff other than my actual charity. But like, for friends and family, I love giving back. I love being able to help uplift, giving a hand up, not a hand out, a hand up to everyone that I love and care about, and deserving people. I want to be a philanthropist, like on a big level, like, so being able to kind of do it at the level that I've been able to do, and see that it's had like serious impact has been like really, makes me like happy and proud, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then what was the other part of that?
Your first job.
Oh, my first job. My first job. I used to walk my neighbor's dog every day after school, but I mean, I guess I took it like a job. Like, my friends would be after school. Hey, you want to hang out? I'm like, man, I gotta go let Mandy out. But my first real job. I was a roofer.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that like a family business, or you were?
No, they're like family, very close friends and family friends too now. And I was a roofer, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough work.
Yeah, and I was the shingle bitch, 'cause I was 15 when I started, and everyone on the crew was like, in their 30s, almost 40s, and that was one of my favorite jobs too. Yeah. Just the crew of guys I worked with, they were, especially this one dude in particular, Steve Maynard. He harassed me, and like way worse than any Buds instructor ever could. And I'm still great friends with him to this day. And my boss Jeff Diebel, great dude, and I learned so much from those guys. And just being the youngest guy on the crew, and being around men, and they're not pussy men, we're all doing hard labor, and they're bitching about, world stuff, and, you're just kind of, it's good to be in that environment as a young man, and like, there's no coddling, it's move these fucking shingles, and there's no coddling. There's none of that shit. It was not politically correct at all, hard physical labor in the sun, in the heat, dirty, but man, I just fucking loved it.
Yeah. And,
and I feel like that was a huge thing that got me like mentally ready for Buds. And not that I for those of you who don't know, I didn't know what Buds was when I signed up to be a Navy SEAL. I didn't know I had to go to Buds. I didn't, train for that either. I didn't know anything about
it's a recurring theme here.
Yeah, it is. And, but I feel like that gave me like the necessary tools, or mentally and physically, to endure suck and like just be in a shitty environment. But so what? Deal with it, you know. And those guys, especially Steve, just hilarious, and even in a shitty situation where like I'm covered in shingle dirt and grime and tar and and I'm in a dump truck and they're throwing fucking peeling shingles off and throwing them in, I'm getting hit with them or whatever, and Steve's just like making fun of me relentlessly, but he's just so funny that like I can't help but laugh too, even if I'm the butt of the joke. And but it just like that's the mindset you got to have in shitty situations sometimes. Just laugh about it and find the humor in it, whatever, and this too shall pass, And I feel like it really helped me get through buds and like hard things that I've been in,
Yeah.
So that was my first job, and
I
felt about it.
Great lessons, no doubt.
Yeah.
Frithescent is asking, I'd like to know about his chickens. What kind of eggs, how many do they lay each day, and do you have meat birds?
So I got 12 chickens, and I don't have any meat birds. However, I did have to kill 3 of my roosters because we had too many roosters, so we ended up eating them, so they became meat birds. And I have 2 roosters now, but right now I have how many chickens do I have? I think I have like I want to say I have like maybe 12 chickens right now, and we just had grand chickens for which I'm really excited about because they're first generation, promised land chickens. You know what I mean? And I can't wait to just continue to get my own like homegrown chickens, you know what I mean? Like because the original ones I bought from Tractor Supply, and I raised them from chicks, but these are ones that we had a broody hen and let her sit on the eggs, and so yeah, they're my grand chicks.
That's cool.
And I'm excited. But I also have peacocks, and I love the peacocks.
What kind of chickens are they?
Rhode Island Reds, golden something. I'm not like big on the names of them. I'm just like, they're black chickens, gold chickens, polka dot chickens.
Oh, it's a silver lace Wyandotte.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I know people get like that, like into that with the chickens. Yeah. I don't, but and I usually get like 8 eggs a day.
From 12 of them?
Yeah.
Most days, or they?
Yeah. And it's great. And I feed my peacocks scrambled eggs too. They really love scrambled eggs, so I'll give them like an egg or 2 a day, and then I definitely crush eggs.
Yeah. And those are at your house, or they're at your ranch?
They're at the promised land, but I'll go there, typically bring eggs back with me. Or
do you have somebody that keeps an eye on the place?
One of my best friends and his girlfriend live on the property.
Oh, okay.
And I hired them to basically maintain the property, take care of the animals, stuff like that. And they do a fantastic job. His girlfriend was a former like professional farmer and worked on an apple farm, and she also did trail maintenance for a like a national park. Oh, cool. And so like it's very fitting, work for her. And then
right
my buddy Cody, he actually I was in the military with him, and he got out and got his degree in chemistry, organic chemistry, I think, or maybe chemistry. I don't know which one.
So he's cooking meth up there.
Yeah.
Fucking Breaking Bad style.
Right. And if all else fails, we got that. But and he is a botanist,
so weed and meth.
So, but he, so they're very much like fitting for that kind of work, and they love it. And it's been, he's one of my closest friends, and been through a lot together. And it's just been a really great dynamic. And the house that I have there like has a an apartment in the basement, a whole separate apartment with its own entry and so own living space and everything like that. And, they live there and take care of all the animals, take care of the property, do all the trail maintenance because we have, miles of groomed trails and stuff. And I eventually want to do retreats there. But
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, that's who takes care of it.
Yeah. Ty, and I'm probably going to butcher your last name, Gauthier. What are the greatest takeaways / benefits that you personally receive from jiu-jitsu? I myself practice as well, but personally for him, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what's the greatest thing you receive from being a mixed martial artist?
I would say probably the confidence. Probably the confidence that I always feel like the thing about jiu-jitsu is it's not something that you need to rely on a tool or something like that, or have to carry, if I don't have my gun on me, then I can't shoot anyone, you know what I mean? I have to have that on me. I have to have ammunition for that gun. I have to, jiu-jitsu is one of those things where it's always on me. I'm always ready, available. I could be literally sleeping and someone grabs me. I know what to do right away and how to do it. Yeah. And it's such an effective martial art. I would say I'm a pretty qualified expert in hand-to-hand combatives or martial arts, whatever. I'm a pro fighter. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I wrote the curriculum for hand-to-hand combatives in the SEAL teams and ran it for many years and was the head program manager. So I would say I'm pretty qualified in discussing combatives and in my opinion, and I also compete in, Muay Thai, wrestling, all these things. In my opinion, jiu-jitsu is by far the most effective martial art. Yeah. And again, it's always on you. So how can you not feel confident? I'll do demonstrations with police officers where I'll literally blindfold myself and just lay down on the ground and I'm like, go ahead and try to subdue me. And because you don't need your eyes for jiu-jitsu, you can do it all by feel. I know that this is your wrist, it's connected to your elbow. I know it's connected to your shoulder and your neck. So I can literally just effortlessly submit these guys because if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you're not going to guess your way through it. Yeah. It's a system. It's a proven system. And anyone who's trained for any amount of time realizes and knows that as a fact. So when these, officers will try to subdue me and approach me anywhere, doesn't matter, I'm blindfolded, and I'll just effortlessly submit them over and over. And I'm like, how could you not be confident if you possess this ability?
Yeah.
And so I would say confidence is definitely a huge, huge thing, benefit from it. And then also humility, because, we talked about this yesterday. When you go into a jiu-jitsu gym, you're going to see all kinds of walks of life in there, all kinds of body types, all kinds of, every walk of life in there. And you don't know who is an absolute killer and will strangle the life out of you effortlessly and make you feel completely helpless, or there might be this big macho guy that doesn't know shit. Yeah. And it might be this little grocery store clerk, or bagger that just strangles the life out of you. Yeah. Some gaming nerd or something like that. And so it teaches you a little bit of humility for sure. Yeah. And, to not judge a book by its cover and you don't know who knows what. So you're a little bit, I think before people experience that, they're a little bit more like, yeah, I'll see red. Yeah. But you might see black.
You might see nothing.
Mess around with the wrong person, you get strangled real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of life lessons, and then it's one of those things that you are absolutely going to suck at in the beginning. I lost the first 100 matches that I ever did, and that's normal. Yeah. And so it's going to check your ego, and you're left with people that stick with jiu-jitsu are people that are not instant gratification type people. So, you get people that are willing to work for, a desired goal or outcome, and they're willing to put in that work. They respect and people that have done it before them. It's just a cool environment, and cool people, and it doesn't matter what your race, your religion, your sex, your worldviews, whatever. When you're on the mats, everybody's got the same common denominator. You're all speaking the same language, and that's like unifying. So that's a cool benefit. And then I think for me personally, I find it very therapeutic because it forces you to be present when you are rolling with someone, because there are literal physical consequences if you are not present, and it requires you to be, fully present, and you're trying to solve this problem, and that you both know what the problem is. One of you understands and can solve it faster, and whoever does that wins. And so for me, it's one, like I said earlier in the podcast, I'm very much ADD. I'm all over the place mentally. Like I'm thinking about, all these businesses I'm running and goals I have and where I want to go and how I can do this and who I need to talk to, blah, blah, blah. When I'm rolling or sparring, it's got my full attention. Yeah. It forces you to be present. And, and that can be therapeutic to kind of, hone your mind in. Yeah. And so that's another benefit, I would say.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with all those points. It's a phenomenal sport. Garrett Klein asks, what would be a good weekly schedule for your average blue-collar guy as far as how much combat training, aerobic training, strength and conditioning? I'm a competitive kickboxer, but looking to become overall fit for life instead of staying sport-specific.
Yeah, I mean, this is just my way of life. I'm not doing this because I have a fight coming up or anything like that. This is just a normal, how I live my life. So I would say, I'm not in that sport mindset. I'm in the mindset of, I always want to be fit, able, and, capable of defending myself or my loved ones if I need to. I try to lift 5 days a week, and I do jiu-jitsu probably 4 days a week.
And is that from the jiu-jitsu standpoint, are you teaching classes? Are you like rolling?
Both.
Yeah. So that in that, let's say, a typical day that you're training jiu-jitsu, it could be several classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and teaching. When I launched my academy, Violent Hippie Academy, I launched that because I was, I wanted a place to train. I wanted to create the environment that I wanted. Our motto is be kind or else. And, I wanted just cool, fun people that wanted to do jiu-jitsu, and that's it. Like no drama, no weird stuff. Like just come here, be cool, do jiu-jitsu, and don't be a pussy. Mindset is everything, and that's it. Yeah. And when I launched my academy, I allowed everyone to train for free. I didn't charge anybody a membership, and I taught the majority of the classes, like 90+% of the classes I taught myself. And then I also hired other black belt instructors to help, just have more experience in the room. And, it's always good when you have multiple black belts on the mat, and everybody has different perspectives. Yes, an arm bar is an arm bar, right? But there's little details that you pick up along the way from different people do different things differently, and you might get a little flavor from this guy, or his body type is different than my body type, so this way doesn't really work for me. So I have to kind of make this adjustment, or, vice versa. And I'm not of that old school mindset where, it's this academy is the only place that you learn jiu-jitsu, blah, 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 and like this is the only way to do it. I don't think that's necessary anymore. Like YouTube's a thing, like the internet's a thing. People are sharing techniques all over the world. People travel all over the world. They video seminars, they post seminars, shit like that. And I think that's all great. because there's no secret move you're going to teach, it's jiu-jitsu. And I want my students to get perspectives from everybody, because my perspective on jiu-jitsu is only mine, and my game is very tailored and specific to me. And, I might not play a big De La Riva game or something like that, but this instructor does. And he might not do a lot of pressure, smashing stuff like I do, because we're very different. Our body types are different. Our personalities are different. Our approach to everything is different. So yes, there are the same fundamental things are the same, but you can pick up and learn, little nuanced things from everybody. And I want, a lot of experience in the room. I want a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah. So I guess in terms of kind of circling back to the question,
did I not answer the question?
Well, sort of. I mean, so you train jiu-jitsu 4 days a week, you lift 5 days a week. I think what he's looking for is kind of what program would you recommend for a guy like him that, blue collar job that's working, probably a significant amount of hours, but still wants to train? Like, how do you balance that, and what kind of physical regimen would you maintain or recommend for the long haul?
Yeah, I'm not sure, and what are you doing at your job? Like, is it turning wrenches, or is it like you're carrying shingles up a ladder? Some jobs are very physically demanding, and you might not have to actually go lift weights because you're doing that at work all day or whatever. But, yeah, I don't know.
Would it be safe to say, train combatives a few days a week, resistance training a few days a week?
Yeah.
Also rest a day or two a week?
Yeah, rest is definitely important, and I think a lot of people overlook rest.
Yeah. There's no such thing as overtraining, only under recovery. It's like bullshit. Number one, it's semantics too. It's like you can absolutely overtrain. I mean,
I've definitely taken time off when I get injuries or whatever. You got to listen to your body too, and if you just push yourself to the point where you're broken, that's not good. And also, if you're training while you're injured and you're not doing things correctly, because you're kind of you're favoring an injury or padding it or something like that, I don't think that's always beneficial either. Yeah. I think it's better to just kind of sit out, heal, get back to it. And I've done that several times where I've had to take time off, and then when I come back, people are like, damn, you got better. And it's like, oh, well, that's weird.
Needed a break.
Yeah.
So you've trained with a lot of the top level competitors, both in jiu-jitsu and MMA. You've cross-trained and been all over the country, all over the world, and trained with a lot of different people. Is there, of all the people that you've trained with, is there one person or even a couple in each category that stands out as being the most underrated and also the most overrated? Not asking you to talk shit about anybody, but just that you were expecting to be better than they were and were kind of underwhelmed, or vice versa. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? And
I don't think underrated. There's been a lot of underrated people, especially in MMA, that I've come across, in Sparta and things, and yeah, they just, for whatever reason, you're like, man, this guy should be way further ahead, but just life and all kinds of whatever the reason, they're just not. So I've definitely come across a lot of underrated people, and I don't, too many kind of to name. Overrated. Trying to think. And I'm not trying to be political, but I really don't. I don't think I've come across too many overrated people because they don't stick around.
Yeah.
Or they're just not. They're not going to be relevant for long.
Yeah.
So not too many overrated people.
Who, from a strictly jiu-jitsu standpoint, who's the best jiu-jitsu practitioner that you've ever rolled against as a black belt?
I've rolled with Gordon Ryan. I've rolled with Craig Jones. I've rolled with Nicky Rod. I've rolled with Jake Shields. I've rolled with you know, a lot of the whole Danaher Death Squad, you know, those guys are all crazy good. And, but the most helpless I ever felt, was I rolled against, a guy named Luis Panza, and he's a checkmat black belt. And he's like one of Marcus Buchecha's training partners, and he was at the time he was teaching at Black House Redondo Beach. My buddy Kenny Johnson from Bolt Wrestling, he owns an academy called Black House Redondo Beach, and Luis Panza was coaching there, and I was a purple belt, I think, when I went and trained with him. But I was a pretty good purple belt. Felt real confident in my abilities and everything. And I remember rolling with Luis Panza, and he's like 6'2", 220, like jack dude, one of the top for sure in the world in jiu-jitsu, in that top top 10 type, or I don't know where he is, but he's very, very high up there. And I was like, okay, this guy's just a man, like let's give it a go. And he just effortlessly fucked me up. Like he just made me feel like totally helpless. Like I'd never fucking trained a day in my life. And like he was just, and like Tupac was on in the background, and he's just like sitting there rapping the lyrics as he's just destroying me. And just, it's just another walk in the park for him. And I'm just like, I'm like trying to survive, like what the hell is going on? Like, and again, like I'm a purple belt at this point, and like I've competed a bunch. I'm fighting MMA. Like, I've rolled with like hard rolls, like I've submitted a lot of people, a lot of black belts, a lot, and he just made me like, I guess I don't know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like,
felt insignificant.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, that was fucking crazy. And and I've rolled with Craig Jones too, and when we rolled, it didn't feel like anything like that, where I was just like totally fucking helpless and didn't know what was going on type shit. And obviously he's a little bit smaller than Luis Panza, so he's like more my size and easier to kind of deal with in that sense. But he ended up catching me, I think, in a triangle choke, but it wasn't anything like, wow, like just what the hell just happened to me, And then I saw that Craig Jones and Luis Panza had a match, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be like, after I had already rolled with both of them. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be like interesting. I wonder how he's gonna do. And Craig Jones heel hooked Luis Panza in like 15 seconds. Wow. And I was just like, dude, that is fucking wild. Like jiu-jitsu is kind of like rock, paper, scissors in that sense. Like, like body type, styles, all that kind of stuff can play a factor. Yeah.
How much time had taken place between when you rolled with Luis and when you rolled with Craig, though?
That's a good point. It was probably several years. Yeah.
So, I mean, purple belt is, like when you look at the stats,
I was a brown belt, I think, when I rolled with
Luis.
No, with Craig.
Oh, okay.
But I was a brown belt for 4 years.
Yeah. Damn, that's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that's usually one of the shorter belts, isn't it? I mean, usually.
Yeah.
We won't get into the.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, nomad type shit, moving around, like, and again, kind of like deviating to my business, that became kind of my priority.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't fighting as much, or I wasn't focused on jiu-jitsu as much as I was like, this is a major opportunity, where like I went from living paycheck to paycheck to now I have like something is going on here where I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars and have the potential to make this into like a multi-million-dollar company. Like this has got my full attention. And so for a while I kind of, wasn't focused on jiu-jitsu or fighting really. It was kind of just like in the background as a hobby.
Yeah, that makes sense. At what point when you rolled with Gordon Ryan, where were you at? Path?
Same brown belt.
Brown belt. Did you get the impression that he was putting a lot of effort into it, or did it seem like he was just kind of light rolling?
No, it seemed like he was just kind of going with the flow, you know, I'm sure if it was a competition, you know, with those guys, they could just put it on me, you know. There's levels to everything, and you know, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm on Gordon Ryan or Craig Jones level in jiu-jitsu, because I'm certainly not. And but don't get it twisted. I'm no slouch on the ground at all.
I know.
And it just there's levels to everything, and when these guys' whole life is their life and their business, and you know, their identity, and that's it. Jiu-jitsu, they, you know, that's their thing. Yeah. And for me, even right now, it's just a hobby. Like, and I own an academy, and it's still just a hobby. Like my main priority is my supplement company. Yeah. And you know, and fighting has always been a hobby. I've just been good at it. Yeah. You know. So
you're 35 now, right?
Yep, 35.
From a fighting or, you know, jiu-jitsu, whether it's just competitive jiu-jitsu or combat jiu-jitsu, whatever, like, what is your plan in terms of competing, continuing to fight? Do you plan on still doing that for a while? Do you have?
Yeah, I definitely, I've been competing in jiu-jitsu for the last several years now, pretty actively. I compete quite a bit in jiu-jitsu, and I've got, I'm doing super fights, stuff like that, and which a super fight is like a one-on-one, you know, versus like a tournament that you sign up for. This is like, you know, this black belt versus this black belt. So it's kind of, you know, more like that. But yeah, I have a combat jiu-jitsu match coming up in June, which I'm super excited about, and that's against another black belt.
Can you explain combat jiu-jitsu for the listener?
Yeah, so combat jiu-jitsu is regular Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but when you're on the ground, you can open palm strike anywhere, and open palm or smack or whatever.
Now, is that if you're on your knees? Like if you're on one knee, can you, like, is it, or is there a technicality there?
I think, you know, there's different leagues have different rules or whatever, what a grounded opponent is or whatever. But yeah, I believe it's, if you're on the ground, like you have a knee on the ground, then you're a grounded opponent, and you can strike. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, a little bitch slap competition.
Yeah, open palm strikes are no joke, and it's very, very intense. That with no gloves too, you know. And people think because you're not hitting with closed fists that you can't do damage, and you're sorely mistaken.
I mean, you can see those slap leagues where dudes are getting knocked out all the fucking time.
Oh yeah, and in combat jiu-jitsu leagues, you see people get knocked out, and it's a TKO. You know, and if you do that, you win. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, like in the slap leagues, and even with this, you know, the thing that I wouldn't say confuses me, but kind of surprises me is like they're hitting with their palms, like on their fucking where the fulcrum of their jaw is, or like, you know, by their temple. Like, I mean, that's a fucking full-blown strike. Like, that's not a slap, you know, to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, it's no wonder you're knocking somebody out. I mean, like, right where your jaw creases, you know, where it connects, if you're taking that fucking bone in your hand with everything you have and fucking striking that, I mean, that's every bit as bad as a fucking left hook.
Yeah, you know? I mean, I wouldn't want to do that slap.
Dude, there's no fucking way I would do that. Sear school was enough of getting the fuck slapped out of me for God. Like, I don't need any more of that.
I got this fucking shit slapped out of me in Sear school.
Same here.
Because I have a bad habit of smiling at, like, you know, inappropriate when I shouldn't, or like military bearing is not great with me. Yeah. And during Sear school, they like made an example of me, and like we were all sitting there like fucking with the hoods on and shit, and they took my hood off, and they started, like, you know, saying whatever, and you know, they're in their accent, they're playing the character, and it was this big fucking black dude, big, like, burly, heavy dude, like not jacked, but like just a large human,
corn-fed.
And he took my hood off, you know, stood up, and I like kind of smirked or smiled or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you think this is game, you American pig? You think this is fucking game?" And he fucking hit me. And then like it had people like take off their hoods and just smack the fucking shit out of me. And several times, and it, you know, and you're in that role, like, and I'm like, I just want to beat this dude's ass, but I have to play the game, you know. And Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, I know it, man. That's one of the worst things ever, of having to like grab the sides of your pants and just stand there with your arms down and let another grown man slap the fuck out of you and do nothing about it. It's horrible.
Yeah, at least those guys are probably getting paid good. I don't know what they get paid actually.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't want to say I would never do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I can very comfortably say I would never do it, but. I mean, to me, like I would bare knuckle fight or UFC fight or grapple. Like I would do that 10 times over before I.
How do they decide who gets to go first? Do they flip a coin? Because I feel like that's a major factor.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah. The bare knuckle fighting, was that something you would ever do?
100%. Yeah. I would definitely do bare knuckle MMA.
Yeah.
I don't want to do bare knuckle boxing because I feel like boxing is just so limited. You know, it's just very one dimensional.
Yeah.
And I would much rather use my wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and you know, everything. So if I could just fight MMA with no gloves, I would do that.
Is there a it's not, but like
I think Jorge Masvidal, I believe he start, you know, because that's how he got his start in MMA was with Kimbo Slice and then, you know, bare knuckle fighting. But yeah, it was, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe he started a bare knuckle MMA league.
Yeah, awesome. So what's next? I guess you're going to continue to compete. You want to build your company. Is there anything else that you're looking to accomplish, or somewhere you want to go professionally?
Yeah, I'm working on another project right now. That's it's a big project, and I haven't talked about it. And I'm not sure if I even really want to until it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know,
is it something we talked about yesterday?
We talked about it earlier.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm working on that, and that's going to be big, and so that's something that'll be a whole new kind of thing. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just really trying to rebuild right now. You know, for those of you who don't know, like during COVID, I lost my social media, my Instagram. I had 200 or 370,000 followers on Instagram and was verified before it cost $10. And, you know, that was, I had a very like large and engaged audience, and that's what really was the real success of my company. And why like I didn't have to spend money on advertising was because I had such a large audience and an engaged audience. And during COVID, I was very outspoken against the, you know, particularly the vaccine mandates and just all of the tyrannical bullshit that we were fucking dealing with, and all the nonsense of like, you know, wear a mask when you walk through to sit down, and then you can take it off and you can eat, and then if you know, put it on, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was just very outspoken against all that shit. But yeah, the vaccine mandates in particular. And I had like posted a video of me on the streets of New York with a bullhorn, you know, screaming in the bullhorn, the vaccine does not stop you from getting COVID. The vaccine does not stop you from spreading COVID. And, you know, basically got deleted for misinformation, which is now obviously widely accepted as true. Yeah. And it's not like I'm getting my account back, but yeah, so they deleted my account, and that felt like, you know, like my house burnt down or something. That was like devastating, you know, because I had built my account like organically, you know, and at that time I'd put in 5 years of like consistent, you know, heartfelt captions, really like thinking about things, like deep captions, deep, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a personal digital scrapbook. You know?
It was like a diary almost, or, you know, like, and because I could go all the way back to, I wasn't the type that like deleted a bunch of posts. I had my day one post, and it was like a story, you know, a storyline of my, and you could see like the build up from like when I started my Instagram, I didn't have a business. I was just fighting. I was doing jiu-jitsu. I was doing, you know, comedy skits, you know, just showing my personality and stuff like that. And I did that originally just to give try to give back to sponsors that were sponsoring me for fighting and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That was the whole reason I made my Instagram. Then I realized the power of it once I, started to gain followers and stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, these are potential like customers too, and, and then I really like turned it up and put a lot of effort into it. And then it was also like, I was impacting a ton of people, with like, I had like 6 different people write me saying they were going to kill themselves and didn't because of my content and how positive it was. And, and I helped them in this, that, and the third way or the other with, mindset is everything, pushing yourself. And, I was always trying to lead by example. And I had so many people reaching out to me, telling me all the time that I was helping them. And, earlier when they asked like, what's your greatest accomplishment or your thing you're most proud of? I used to say my Instagram. Because at the time it was like, I was so like, I never imagined that I would be able to impact and help so many people. And
grow a business from it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like this is the craziest thing, and it's funny because like, my dad, he's not old, but he's only 55 and my mom and dad are only 55. So, but he's just like, he's an old school kind of guy, like stuck in his ways a little bit and like doesn't understand the power of, podcasts or internet or Instagram or any of that stuff. And like when I told him like, yeah, I'm going to get out of the SEAL teams and, pursue, the UFC or like, and I'm going to like work on my Instagram. He's like, what?
Like, the fuck is that?
Yeah, it doesn't register. Like,
it's almost like when kids are like, oh, I'm going to play video games for a living. And the parents are like, what?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Fuck you.
And it's like these guys, and some of these dudes are making crazy money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at the time, like my Instagram was like the thing I was most proud of, and it was like my most valuable thing in my life. I literally made millions of dollars off of this app, and my business was so dependent on it. And but at the time, during that time, there wasn't really anybody speaking out against it on Instagram because so many people were afraid to lose their platforms. And and I was too, but I felt like it was way too important not to talk about. And and at the time, like I'm a Navy SEAL, I have influence. I don't have the biggest platform, but 370,000 followers is not
nothing.
That's not nothing, and there's a lot of people looking for guidance at this time because this is a unprecedented time in history in our country. And, and I'm like, where the fuck is everybody at? Like, where are the leaders at? Why aren't people stepping up? Where are the patriots? Like, what the fuck? Like, all these people preach about fucking leadership. Where are you at? Like, so I was like, hey, in the absence of leadership, you need to lead. And so I was posting about this shit and then trying to encourage other people, everyday people, to stand up against this fucking tyranny that we're experiencing. And, like we don't even have bodily autonomy and, it's just wild. Like, aren't we the land of the free, the home of the brave? Where are you guys at? This is the time. Our forefathers warned us about tyrannical government. This is it. This is what we're facing right now. Yeah. Like, and COVID, all this bullshit that we know is ridiculous. Like, it felt like, I always said, like, I don't think COVID was a pandemic. I feel like it was an IQ test. And, some people failed miserably. Other people like knew what was going on, but they were in positions where their hands were kind of tied, and that was wrong. And I felt like if everyone who felt that way stood up and said enough, that shit would have ended like that, And I felt like, we need someone to start this shit, like, and it was very few people doing that. And so again, I thought, there's a possibility I could lose my platform, but it's too important not to talk about. And unfortunately I did. Yeah. I did lose my platform, and not just once, but, and when that happened, it was crushed me, devastating. But I, luckily I had enough people that like kind of shouted me out and this and that, like, hey, help, this is what happened, regrow his page. And and I got up to 60,000 followers, and they deleted that one. And then got up to 35,000, they deleted that one. Got up to 22,000, they deleted that.
Wow.
And I was like, fuck, man. Like, and every time it's getting drastically smaller and smaller. And, you know, and people are like, yeah, but, you know, wouldn't people just look you up again? And I'm like, how many people do you follow on Instagram? Like a couple hundred?
Yeah, would
whatever,
you even notice if they went missing?
You were not going to fucking notice. Yeah. Like if I took one follower that you follow away, how long do you think it would take you to notice?
Yeah, unless it's somebody
it's someone that you specifically seek out their content daily or something like that, or, you know, you're friends with them and you interact with them regularly or something like that. Like, which I did. I had a core audience of like hardcore, like OG followers and supporters that, you know, are still with me to this day. But I have every single day, I have people messaging me like, oh, dang, I didn't know where you went. You know, like I just found your account. Like, you know, I was wondering what happened to you. Or they'll like be like, oh, something will jog their memory. And they're like, oh yeah, where's Mitch? And they'll look for me. Oh, hey, it's weird. I was following you. And it's like, yeah, I know you were, but like, and people don't understand that, you know, and it sucks that like they could just, like a big tech company or whatever could just, here's how you make a living. You're, you know, combat veteran, Navy SEAL, like, and this is how you make your living now, whatever. You don't agree with our narrative, you're gone. Yeah. And it's just like, dude, this doesn't just affect me. Like, I have employees with families that depend on a paycheck, you know what I mean? So yeah, that shit literally cost me millions of dollars.
Yeah. It's tough, you know, I mean, and the thing with kind of being in that position where you're like, hey, this shit's fucked up. I feel obligated to do something about it. You know, to me, that the problem is that, you know, Instagram is a private company the same way anything else is. Yeah. You know, and they get to decide how things go, you know, and that sucks, you know. And so to me, like we've talked a little bit about this business wise, is that like if
I got to get on Patreon.
Well, I mean, there's that, you know, but even Patreon, like, I mean, years ago they had a thing where they were shutting down a lot of people's accounts, same thing. And this is behind a fucking paywall, and they still are like, nope, we're disabling your account, you know? So, I mean, really, unless it's your own platform.
Right. And then even then, Apple, it's like Amazon and Apple like actually own the web browser or domains or, you know,
between Google, Apple, and Amazon, like, you can't exist, you know, without at least
you can't exist in the digital world, right? You know, and that's like the thing that sucks is like, yeah, sure, we have freedom of speech. You can go out on the street and say whatever you want, sort of, but you know, but we're in a different world where like, you know, when Elon Musk or someone like that who has 65 million followers, or the fucking Kardashians, whoever, they can reach hundreds of millions of people, you know, with the same message, you know, saying it into their phone versus saying it on the street. Yeah. It's just a totally different thing, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, ultimately, like if you're on any of these platforms, like you got to play by their rules, you know, and if.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at. I'm on my 5th account now. Yeah. And at this point, like I'm not going as hard as I would like to. Yeah. Well, because I'm like, at this point in the game, again, I feel like COVID was an IQ test. Yeah. At this point in the game, if you don't understand what the hell is going on and like where we're at, you're not worth saving. You're not worth like enlightening, or it's not my responsibility or job to. There's other people out there. Now it's totally safe and to talk about all this stuff going on because so many people are now talking about it. So I'm like, you know what, you guys can handle it, and I'll just sit back and you know.
Yeah, and it is, I mean, it's super unfortunate. I mean, kind of the lesson that I've learned over the years is if it's business stuff, keep it about business. If it's your personal stuff, then you know, have personal. And you know, there's certainly corporations out there that will even scour your personal shit and fire you if you're not towing the company line or whatever. I mean, luckily owning your own business, you're kind of playing by the digital rules of whatever platforms you're on. But, you know, yeah, to me, the whole thing kind of reminds me of the reality show Survivor. In that, you know, it's not about who's the best survivor. It's who can play the fucking game the best. You know, it's who can, you know, backstab and fucking, you know, be the the line towing company man when they need to be, and be the conniving, backstabbing fuck when they need to be the loyal friend when it makes sense.
Sounds like a politician.
It is, but I mean, to me, like Survivor is really a microcosm of life, you know, because again, like if you're too fucking strong and too outspoken and too bold, people are going to be threatened by that, and they're going to band together and fuck you over, you know. And so like you have to be smart about everything, you know. I mean, what you say, how you say it, how you bring to the table, and you know, that's where the ego, you know, can become your worst fucking nightmare.
For sure.
You know, is that if you fuck that, I'm going to say what I want. It's like there's probably going to be consequences. Think like in the big picture. I had a really good conversation with Bill Rapier. Have you ever rolled with him?
Yes, I have rolled with Bill Rapier. He's a savage, and I think I was a white belt or maybe a blue belt, and he was already a black belt, and he put me to sleep. And when we rolled, I forgot what kind of choke he got me in. I think it was just some sort of cross lapel choke or something like that, and just cut the blood off to my brain. I went to sleep. I woke up and he was shaking my legs above me. I was like, oh fuck.
How do you think you'd fare with him now?
I think I would probably do a lot better than I did, but you know, he's definitely a beast, and
he's a top shelf guy for
sure. Yeah.
Well, and he, you know, so he came on here. We had a cool conversation. I mean, he like consummate professional lifestyle, warrior lifestyle, like that. Like the guy lives every second of every day that way, and in such an impressive, dedicated way. But
he's super humble too.
Yeah. I mean, you'd never know talking to the guy what he's done, what he's capable of. But we were talking about, you know, how you handle situations, you know, and he one of the things that he said it's stuck with me, and it's something that I've always thought of when you get into a potential confrontation with somebody. He's like, because I said, you know, you're married, you have a bunch of kids. Let's say you're out at a restaurant and there's somebody in there fucking with you. You know, it's like you spend all day, every day training how to fuck people up. Like, how do you navigate that when somebody is getting ready to cross the line? And what is that line? And he's like, you know, even if some guy insults my wife, fucking, you know, is running his mouth saying shit that is unforgivable, he's like, you always have to look at the big picture. He's like, if I do something, I don't know what he's carrying. I don't know what he's on. I don't know who else in that establishment knows him, is friends with him, is going to back him up. I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get out of it. He said, but the reality of it is none of it is going to be good. And I'm going to take it to a fucking place that almost without certain is going to have permanent, life-altering negative consequences that are not going to be worth it. He's like, you know, I have to think about if I go away, what happens to my wife? What happens to my kids? Is it worth it? It's not. He's like, so I avoid it at all fucking costs. I will put my ego in my back pocket. Hey, no, my bad. Like, I'm not looking for trouble. And you know, which is surprising to hear somebody that's that fucking capable, like, will avoid somebody calling his wife a whore in front of him and won't fight about it. You know, it's basically like, I'll only fight if I absolutely have to. Like, if somebody attacks me or us, otherwise I'll avoid it at all costs. And it's like, man,
that's a super mature way to approach it. I'm definitely not on that level.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard thing to live by, because it's like, you know, you spend so much of your time honing your craft, your skill set, you know, staying in shape, staying lethal, staying deadly, and then some fuckwad comes up and you know, throws a drink in your face or fucking smacks your girl's ass or whatever. You know, it's like, you're just supposed to let that happen. It's like, but when you think about it in that context, it's like, it is probably going to be way worse for you if you do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see his point of view, and I think that is a mature point of view. However, the only like kind of pushback or kind of, you know, difference I would say is like, I see. I totally get that, but like when I'm seeing like now in society with like people acting like fucking assholes left and right in public, and you know you see literally on the streets of New York men hitting women, and you know, or like there was a video I just saw the other day where this this woman is being robbed and she's like literally fighting with this guy over a purse or something like that, and there's a guy just sitting there doing nothing. That will never ever be me. I will never ever just sit there and let something happen. And that's that's not my wife. That's that's just anyone. And I think that that's a major issue. A lack of, respect. There's a lack of masculinity. There's a lack of aggression in our country, in men specifically.
For sure.
And, so I can see where he's coming from and this is no harm, no foul, kind of, we'll just get out of here, my family's safe, whatever. And Bill's not one of those people that, there's some guy, I'll see red. No, that dude is a legitimate killer.
Yeah.
And it is 1,000% capable of it. And he's of the mindset, and like, this isn't like sport. Like, I will take your life if I have to. Yeah. And so I can understand, that. And I'm sure if someone assaulted his wife, he would absolutely do something.
Yeah, and also,
I think he's talking about like, disrespect and that kind of shit.
Yeah, to me, the line, and I don't think he would sit there and watch somebody assault an old woman.
Yeah,
either,
I don't think he would. I don't think he would either. I think he's talking about like words, like, disrespect,
just being an
things
asshole.
that don't matter. Like, but if you actually cross a line of like assault or something, or, I think, he would probably be in agreement with that.
Yeah. But my point in bringing all of that up was that, kind of going back to the social media thing and the survivor analogy is that it's that 30,000 foot view, big picture standpoint that I think is crucial when navigating entrepreneurship, social media, business. I mean, really life is that you've got to take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute, like what's the big picture? And like we were talking about yesterday, like, okay, I'm at A, I'm at station A, I want to get to station B. So this thing that I'm about to do right now, how does that play into me getting to point B?
Yeah, it definitely put me back.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just again, it's like it's an ego thing, and it's tough to just let shit happen, especially when it's things you're passionate and emotional about. But one of my favorite sayings is, when emotion runs high, logic runs low, and it's so fucking true.
I like that.
And if you're making a big decision when you're emotional, it's probably not the right one. At a minimum, it's going to be really, really, negatively influenced, and so it's always, I think, a smart idea to take a step back and say, okay, let's look at the big picture in the grand scheme of things. Where does this fall into, priorities and level of importance?
Yeah. But and at the time, it was the level of importance was pretty high to me, and and I was affected, pretty personally on, from COVID and from the lack of handling or just the government's really bad response to it. And, I had family members like pass away and not, that could have been avoided, but because of money essentially and big pharma's influence on politicians and policy making and stuff like that, you really saw it become politicized, and you saw the corruption behind it. And that was like infuriating to me. And it was like, my level of importance and why was there. I was willing to lose everything to try to make an impact and try to make a difference and encourage people to stand up. And, it didn't do that.
Yeah.
It might have on some level, and I know it did on some level because I have, so many people that have reached out and told me that it gave them the encouragement to, stand up and not get the vaccine or whatever, or push back and fight against it where they were in their office or whatever. There have been examples of that. So, and I'm sure, and that makes me feel a little better. Is that worth millions of dollars? I don't know. But I can look at myself in the mirror and again, that might just be an ego thing, but.
Well, I think, like something like that as an example is that, you've got your big point B that you want to get to, kind of your long game professional goal that you want to achieve, right? Which is elevating your business to a point where either it's running itself and, you know, you're taking dividends that are allowing you to live comfortably forever, or you cash out and fuck off. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but there's obviously a lot of smaller point Bs. So that being an example is that, okay, I'm pissed off. The shit isn't going how I want. There's, you know, tyranny taking place. I want to fight it. Like, even with that, it's like, okay, before you get angry and grab a bullhorn, step back and say, is this the best way to attack that?
Right.
You know, I'm not saying it is or it isn't.
No,
it's easy to say, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, you could exercise tactical patience, and maybe it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe those millions of dollars would have been better off being used to help it in some other way, you know, and just a different approach, a more tactical approach or something. Yeah. And I don't disagree with that. Yeah. And, you know, experience is often gained right after you need it.
Pretty much every fucking time, you know, just in the nick of time of when it's too fucking late to use it.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your take on, you know, there's a lot of political issues and
how much time you got, mister?
Yeah, all of it. I don't have a flight to catch. But you know, one of the things that I think getting guys like you know, been all over the world and done a lot of challenging things, you know, pretty principled in how you live your life in really every way. When you look at the United States and you think about where we came from as a society from its inception until where we sit right now, from your perspective, what do you think America's biggest challenge is?
Biggest challenge, propaganda. I think the propaganda is very real and it's very effective, and these corrupt politicians in our government, I think that's our biggest challenges right now, and just how rooted in they are in everything. I really truly believe that America's biggest enemy is our own government. And I think it's pretty clear that a lot of this stuff is by design, and it has been going on for quite some time, and it's just becoming more and more people are becoming aware of it, and it's almost like we're living in two different realities. You know, the people that are hip and aware to what's going on and they see it for exactly what it is, and the other people that are just oblivious and not paying attention and don't care to. And like the people that are paying attention are pulling their hair out, like screaming from a mountaintop, and there's, you know, the other people that seemingly just don't care and couldn't be bothered, and because they're comfortable and, you know, just have no interest in it. And it's sad to see, because you really, in real time, we're watching our country deteriorate, and I don't know how much longer it's sustainable, you know, and I think this election is extremely important. And, you know, I think if Biden wins again, and like, I don't know how, I just don't see it being sustainable for much longer, you know. Yeah. I'm seeing, you know, just the prices of everything are insane, like groceries. I mean, I make good money compared to most people, you know, the average American. And if I'm noticing, and like these grocery bills and stuff, you know, I can't imagine how a lot of people are feeling, especially with kids, and you know what I mean? So I think our biggest challenge and struggle is our own politicians rooting out the corruption and propaganda, like getting control over that. Yeah. Because it's very powerful.
What do you think, let's say President Aguiar is elected and it's January fucking whatever the fuck, 1st or 17th, whatever day they take office.
I think it's the 20th. Something.
Yeah. Day one, how would you go about changing that?
I would make it to where propaganda is not legal in this country. Like Obama reversed that in 2014, I believe, and made it legal again. I would definitely make propaganda illegal. I would definitely close our border. I would definitely try to, I would try to force Ukraine to go to negotiation tables with Russia, and likewise with Israel and Palestine, and try to, bring wars to, an end as much as possible, as quickly as possible. I think, my perspective has changed a lot since I was in the SEAL teams, and I look at war like it's insane. And especially like when you're talking about nuclear war, it's just, it should be avoided at all costs. It shouldn't even be spoken about, because it's that devastatingly, important. And so I would try to move towards, getting rid of nuclear weapons and as a whole around the world, and trying to, bring about more peace. And I truly believe, that humans, we're all one. We're all the same. We have different cultures and beliefs and all that stuff, and, religious beliefs, all that. But I think I would definitely try to push for a message of unity, and that I would also dismantle the government as much as possible. I would dismantle like the IRS as much as possible, the CIA, the FBI, all of them. And that's like one of my favorite candidates, or that I've seen, is Vivek Ramaswamy, because I really agree with a lot of the things he said. He's in my opinion probably the most intelligent candidate that we've ever had, and he said that he would fire half of the government. The U.S. government is the largest employer in the world, and he would just take whatever. If your social security number ends in an odd number, you're fired, and just right away just thin it out, and then you hire back what's necessary. If to operate. I mean, Elon Musk did that with Twitter. He fired 90% of the staff, and Twitter works just fine, and because you just there's a lot of useless jobs in the government, and they love to do that kind of shit. Where Biden, we created 9 million jobs, 4.5 million, hire 4.5 million people. You dig this hole, now you hire 4.5 million more people. You fill it. It's like worthless, and all this is coming from our tax dollars, and the military-industrial complex is out of control. We spend 10 times the amount on our budget for defense than the next 10 countries combined, and they start these wars, I believe, to be forever wars. I think Afghanistan was a war by design, and that was pretty evident in our pullout, and, them declaring that a success. We fought there for 20 years. I have friends that are dead and maimed forever. I was there, like, put my life on the line so many times for what, and being in the SEAL teams, like, what would happen if you lost a pair of night vision goggles?
Oh man. I mean, so here's an instance. Actually, I was the intel rep in my first, in actually 2 platoons at Team 3, but my first platoon, I'm a fucking 19-year-old kid, and I'm an intelligence representative, which is rare to begin with, first platoon being an intel guy, but I had been through ISA school, so they were like, oh, let's make him the intel rep. Anyway, so at the time, this is in the late 90s, where we had night vision lenses for our digital cameras. It was all brand new shit, but same kind of thing. So our platoon, our sister platoon, were getting ready to deploy. They were going to be the Southwest Asia platoon that goes to Bahrain, and they're land-based doing the Bahrain thing. We're the amphibious readiness group Alpha platoon that sits on the USS Duluth for 6 months and floats around and does all the fleet exercises. And so, at that time, like, it was different than how it is now with task elements. You had a sister platoon that you deployed with, and there were 2 platoons at each team gone all the time. Everybody else was home instead of the whole team deploying. And so those 2 platoons that were gone, it was like the whole team kind of supported them. Anyway, you would share a lot of shit with your sister platoon, like weapons, and, you were kind of always moving shit around and doing training together and trips and stuff. And so it wasn't uncommon to store stuff together and whatever. Anyway, my counterpart, the intel rep from that platoon, took one of our night vision lenses. They went to Bahrain. They deployed before we did. We're getting ready to go on pre-deployment leave, do an inventory on the ship. All of our shit's already loaded on the ship. Hey, make sure everything's there before you go home. You're missing a night vision lens. Dude, I didn't get to go home. Like, I had to sit on the ship and dig for that motherfucker. Like, and it wasn't until right before we had to leave to where I called him and got him on the phone in fucking Bahrain. I was like, hey, I'm missing this serial number. He's like, oh, yeah, I have it. I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But, like, I was getting ready to get arrested for not having an accountability of where it was, you know, and for like 9 fucking days, I'm a 19-year-old sweat. Like, dude, you want to talk about stress? Like, I mean, that's where I started to lose all my hair. I was just like, dude, I was freaking the fuck out because my OIC is like, motherfucker, you better find that or you're fucked. Like, we're going to pull your bird. You're going to get in fucking, you know, you're going to go to jail.
Yeah. So it's not like, if you lose that one piece of serialized inventory, a fucking lens, okay? Like, you're going to jail, you're losing your trident, going to jail. And like, you know, and I've seen it where even, you know, they'll make SEALs that lose their trident pay back the bonus that you get, you know, and not only that, you have to also pay for the piece of equipment that you lost. It's going to be docked out of your pay. Like, that's the severity and like the levels of intensity that they hold us to, or accountability that they hold us to. And then they want to leave billions of dollars of equipment to the Taliban that we've been fighting for 20 years. Yeah. And, you know, they've got their feet kicked up on the desk of the Oval Office in Afghanistan, you know, and that was Biden's huge success, you know. And it's like, what? Yeah. Okay.
If that's a success, what the fuck does a failure look like?
Yeah. Okay. So that's bullshit, you know? And, so there's a lot of things like that have happened and I'm, you know, paying attention to, and so I would really try to get as much of the corruption under control as I could, as president. And, you know, as well as pharmaceutical companies, you know, everything. It's the more you look into things, the more corruption you find, you know, and it's in all fucking industries across you know, everything. And your food, you know, and it's like, why is organic food, why do I have to pay double the fucking price to not get poisoned? You know, and like these things that are proven to cause cancer, but it doesn't maximize profit, you know. So
or
we
like
just
raw, like getting arrested for selling raw milk.
It's crazy, you know. So there's so much shit like that it is, you know, money is the root of all evil, you know, they say, and that's what I see. And as president, like, I would try to do as much as I could to dismantle as much corruption as I could. And I think it's very hard to do because money is power as well. And you know, it's this thing that we all need in life, right? We all need money to survive and to do things. So everybody's seeking after it. And those who have it, you know, we talked about this yesterday, like, there are different levels to things, right? Where the majority of people are trading their time for money. Like, I will do this work that takes me X amount of time in a day, and I'll give you this effort and blah, blah, blah. In exchange, you give me a couple shekels, you know, and I can go buy my food and pay for my roof over my house and this and that. And, you know, there's other people that just have unlimited amounts of this thing you need, money, and just because I have it makes more than you'll ever make in your lifetime just existing in this account I have or in this investment or whatever. And, you know, there's such huge disparities, and you know, so people, I think, become desperate and they care about themselves and their family or whatever. So it's like, you know, they're easily corrupted by it. And I feel like money is a test, you know, and it exposes who you are. And if you're a good person, you get a lot of money, you're going to be a better person. If you're a shit person, you're going to be an even shittier person. And, you know, both have money, you know, and are using it, you know, in their ways. And you know, there's people in positions, and enough is never enough for them. And you know, even if they have these big conglomerate type corporations, but and something comes along that could disrupt it, you know, even though they're set and their family set for generations and they'll never, you know, be hurting, they're going to block this, you know, and that's how it's been in every industry since the dawn of this country. Yeah. And it's really apparent. Like the more you look into it, it's everywhere. Yeah. It's fucking everywhere. Yeah. And so I would do my best to try to dismantle as much of that as I could.
Yeah. I'm going to oversimplify these with yes or no questions. Okay. Would you still in the same vein of being president? Would you continue to send Ukraine money?
No.
Would you send Israel money?
Again, it's hard to yes or no's because even the Ukraine, that one's just an easier no. Yeah. I would say no, but again, that's not a black and white.
Yeah, which is kind of the point of it. But right. You'd close the border.
Yes.
At all costs.
Yes.
Does that, if you were to say up to and including putting armed troops on the border to keep people from streaming across, and you would say you can use deadly force to stop people from coming across, would you authorize that?
Yes.
Yeah. The blowback that would exist with that would be beyond significant, right? How would you handle that as a president?
I mean, I think like borders and all that stuff is pretty, like you have a home, right? If someone was breaking into your home, you have the right to shoot them. And it's not just because we have borders doesn't mean that there isn't an entry into the country legally. And I would, you know, encourage all of those people, instead of coming over here illegally and getting shot, go the correct legal way. Yeah. And just like I would encourage anybody, don't break in through someone's home. Don't go through the window of someone's house.
Knock on the front door.
Knock on the front door.
Yeah.
You know, and they can verify who you are and decide whether to let you in or not. And that's their right. Yeah. And, you know, you don't have the right to just break into their home. Yeah. And I feel the same way about our country.
Yeah. Yep. I don't disagree with any of that. They're all tough questions, and they're ones that, you know, people get so emotional about, you know, on one side or the other, that, you know,
when emotions are high, logic is low.
And that's the case. I mean, you see it all the time, people arguing and you know, throwing mud and slinging names and what have you. But what haven't I asked you that I should have?
I have no idea.
Anything else you want?
We've talked a lot. Yeah. I talk a lot. So
yeah, same here.
I'm sorry.
I do it for a living, apparently. Well, man, I appreciate you coming. It's been great catching up. I do have a parting gift for you this time, and I'm going to let you pick from one of these 3 black boxes. You can open all of them to pick, but if you want to check those out. The only rule is that at some point you got to wear what's in that black box and post a picture of it, tagging the show.
Okay, cool. Let's see here. Oh, that one's dope.
Shit kicker buckle.
This would have been perfect for my skit the other day.
Yeah, sure as fuck would have.
Did you see that? Yeah, I sent it to you. Pig, I'm like, hey, did you watch this?
Yeah. Did you watch the whole thing? Yeah, I watched. Yeah.
All right. I like the silk. Some blue. For those of you just listening, I'm looking at some dope
mic drop belt buckles, big thanks to John Johnston, who donates all these buckles and has Champion Choice Silver make them. So big thanks to John and the Champions for making them.
You know, I'm normally, I prefer silver over gold usually, but this gold one, I think I like the layout of this one. So I think I'm going to go with this one.
If you can just show that to the camera real quick.
Yeah, will do. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'll take those other ones back.
There you go.
Grassy ass.
All right, check it out.
Hell yeah. Well, good shit. Well, thank you again, man. Where can people find you to support Adopt a Cop or get any of the massive supplements and everything you have going on?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Mitch, MITCH _ Aguiar, AGUIAR. And Massive Supplements is my supplement company, and our website is masfsupplements.com. Violent Hippie is my other apparel brand, and we have gis, training shorts, rash guards, handmade organic soaps, USDA certified organic CBD oil, all that on violenthippie.com, and it's HIPPIE, violenthippie.com. And then if you want to donate to Adopt a Cop, it's adoptacopbjj.org. And appreciate all your support. Thanks so much for listening, and thank you so much for having me on again. It was definitely an awesome time, and I'm glad we got to spend some time together yesterday too, and that was super fun. So episode 8 and episode close to 200
almost
or something.
200, yeah, probably 190 something
like that. That's pretty cool.
Thank you for coming, man. Thanks for the humbling training session yesterday, and just hanging out, man. It's been great catching up and shooting the shit with you, so I appreciate it, man.
Likewise. Thank you.
To you guys, thank you again for your unwavering support. Without your guys, continued watching of the show, we wouldn't be able to bring you this. Encourage you to check out the Patreon page, and to all the supporting patrons so far, thank you. Super, super appreciative of your guys' support also. So thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you can choke yourself. And until next time, this is Mic Drop.